Ayo, ayaya ipa o. Abonye o. Yayo dwala. Yayo dwala. Na seye jedila. Je na pwe be anu edrutuo, be anu edrutuo. Abebe o. Royo si agbeye. Asi agbeye royo. Asi agbeyo, si agbeyo, asi agbeyo, ayẹyẹ igba o. Suyo, ayidori, abonye o. Suyo, yenyo te babimu. Suyo, ayidori, yenyo te tena kongo. Suyo, yenyo te babimu o. Yenyo te tena kongo. Webebe na meja imu o. Awo abonye o. Mo eti abiswe. Mo ete alizwe mloyo. Mo eba eluwe. Ya mo eba eluwe. Mo ya nyosune. Mo ya nyosune. Mo ge abebe o. Abebe ye wa ye nyoso agbonu. Apo eblo. Apo eblo mloyo. Apo eblo. Dodi abuya nyogba ye. Na dodi abuya nyogba ye. Lodi abuya nyongwa ide abuya ngaiya eda owe abonye o. Suyo ayidori. Suyo royo abonye o. Suyo ayidori. Suyo nasi agbeyo royo. Agbeyo nasi agbeyo. Royo nasi agbeyo. Agbeyo aye abi agbonu o. Nasi agbeyo, aye ano bozo. Paje diye, wanyo paje diye. Pada dudu ebo e, na pada dudu ebo e, pada dudu ebo e. Namu abi agbonu o, ayidori abonye o. Inu delu atigage. Na pwede de mokwe, pwede de mokwe, pwede de mokwe wo, pwede de mokwe wo abonye o. Suyo, ayidori. Wowe, suyo, sila panwe, mi awe, wowe, kwina we, suyo, je panwe, panwe, ayidori. Adonye ikebe, usi adeye, suyo, ayidori. Adedi, wajbe. Yo swala pa de na mu abi agono ode
Okay.
Ayidori abonye o. Suyo ayidori. So arede yo. Muso aspeku. Amajo. Ina shedi yete na bo. Salige ya munya o. Whatever you swa, whatever you about to do, no ganyo. Na tina yon di oju aye, lori aji lori abonye o. Lori abu ayon gba ye, de abu agba ye. Ede owe groyon. Mo gba we yi, mo gba yin we yi. Mo akon ba yi groyon. Mo mo le bo de gba. Egbon di atana won ba ye seso. Ayidori abonye o. Nasi agele, si agele, asi agele, asi agele, asi agele, asi agele. Ajejora nu o. Kenu. Ayidori abonye o. Suyo, ayidori. Suyo, ayidori abonye o. Suyo, ayidori. Suyo, obiyo.
Ero shot.
Inga no broyon. Dede don bonge anyoswa. Wala abonye o. Abonye o. Agbeyo lori ayẹyẹ igba o. Mo ilo a. Mo ebi ebo atugu e broyon. Mo anu adi pepe do we e. Na mo pe iwe we yi. Mo pe igbeyo we yi. Mo pe ani ona. Yanwa abonye o. Si agbeyo ayẹyẹ imu o mu o. Adege ayẹyẹ imu o mu o. Adeya, Ayaya Imuo, Ayaya Imuo, Ayaya Mao. When he something here. Number 12. I bet it. Nah, I bet it. Do this, I bet it. No one else, I bet it.
Good evening. All right, good evening, folks. We want to welcome you to this edition of the Liberia Public Radio LPR-TV Live with the panelists. Very shortly, the panelists will be here. The songwriter says, let us be friendly. Let us find a common ground. No hatred, no resentment, no bitterness. But who is listening and who will hear to that? We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe via this beautiful evening here. Mohammed Conan will say welcome, of course. Our own man, Goya, is based in the Minneapolis, is a senior contributor of the Liberia Public Radio. Joe, man, it was good having you here. Hopefully, that's not going to be the last time here. Vidata, good evening. Frank, good evening. And James Doe Jr. is marching. So let's listen to this beautiful music and we will get the program rolling here. Ambassador Roosevelt Dan is in the house. Good evening. Welcome.
I'm a bayo, I ain't why you be moved? Nasiagele, I you be moved. How you do the abonye? So now walk away.
What a beautiful music right here. This event on the Liberia Public Radio. We are traditionalists who believe in welcome some Liberia, and we have the showcase here. This is Ambassador Rufus Gay. On piece here. Let's do it together. Let's be friendly. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Liberia Public Radio 10 LPR-TV. I am your host, presenter, and anger. Alfonso Zienso right here this evening. Let's get the ball rolling. Good evening. Welcome to today's editions of LPR-TV Live with the panelists. The panelists will be here very shortly. We're going to be discussing a wide range of issues. As usual, we want to say thank you so much for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We know we are all across the globe. All parts of the world, continent for that matter. If you are in Liberia, we say thank you for joining us. If you are right here in USA, we say thank you. Australia, Europe, wherever you are, we say thank you. Even if you are monitoring in Ukraine, Asia, whatever it is, we say thank you. Thank you for being here. We sincerely apologize. We could not just come on yesterday. We'll try to do everything. But you know, this country is a land of equalizer. You got to get things in order to order, and it's not going to be a good one. Then that's going to be to them. But it is our commitment here on this network, all of us, the analysts, the panelists, the contributors, to be here to have this national conversation here about our country. And of course, you are a great integers of this whole thing. There's no way that you can be left behind. Without you, we will not sit here. It is you that gave us the strength, the zeal, to the extent that if you are even exhausted, but we do know, we strongly believe that you believe in us, and we believe in you, despite of our political differences. And some of the things that we talk does not pivot in your direction, but yet and stay. You are consistent, you are resilient, you are always here. For that, we give it to you. We dedicate this entire program to you. We're going to be having a conversation here this evening. George Lobbo He committed himself to stop by here this evening to have a conversation with the panelists. But then he was telling me, I hope Sissy doesn't come on. I'm like, oh, you want to set the rule game in the man's own house? I hope Pat Joy shouldn't be there. I hope this. I said, but who you want to be there? Who you want to form part of this conversation? In the meanwhile, the Second Election Commissions in Liberia declared the campaign open. Oh my goodness. It's so interesting in the Liberia, in our country. So we're going to be having all of this conversation here. It's open mic, and of course, our valuable listeners, we always allow you to form conversation. Look, Ambassador Dan, thank you so much for chipping in here recently. This is what we want to do. So we do not sanction voices. And our own man Joe, I was very glad, because it is our commitment here, and we have told you over and over. Do not leave this Liberia issue with us. Do not leave it alone with the politicians. You have a share responsibility. So it is vital that you, all of us, form conversations into what is happening in Liberia. If you do it, Liberia may say, Wapi will win you. So let's have a conversation here this evening. Very shortly, they're going to be here. But I do know there's a one election commission. But another commission, one-man commission, 2, 3, 4, or whatever it is, declared the entire process open. Oh my goodness, fun about that. So we're going to be having that conversation. We're still making arrangement. The spokesperson of MDRR, Kelvin, he should have been our guest yesterday, but due to some other technical problems, we could not come on. So we will still try to make time. But there are other political actors are reaching out to us to have a conversation, to have a dialogue. A group calling itself Friends of Tiawan Gonglo, LPP/USA. They are now stepping forward. There's a rendezvous here. They're going to be here Friday. They will be here. Dr. Sam Ban is the executive Friends of Gonglo based in the USA. In collaborations with the Liberty Party folks, they're going to be here. And he has agreed to enter the spin room of the Liberia Public Radio. I think this is a very good one for some of the friends of Gonglo now coming forward. The ambassador is here. So hopefully when Lobbo joins us, we will also ask if the ambassador or surrogates or some supporters of the ambassador, we need to start focusing more or less on the substance than this political theater that is happening in the country. We need to start giving the total revisions of these people, their agenda, their plan, their vision for the country. But every other day, unfortunately, news is something that is concurrent, that happens simultaneously. So it's also kind of like just intro into some of our things that we want to talk about. But I think it's time for us to have a game plan to change the conversation, to compel these people, their agenda, to what they have in store for us. We shouldn't be amused or be taken away by these things that are going on here. That's the tactics of politicians. They are very strategic. They are very, very much careful. So if you're not careful and if you don't pay deaf ear to some of the things, you will get drowned into their talking point, and you would not be able to. And we in the media, we have to be very, very careful. We need to hold these people accountable. We are reaching out to multiple people, folks that are contesting for the first branch of government. We're not just going to be focusing, and we want to encourage everybody. If you are Liberty Partisan, CDC, LPANC, you know your folks, share their contacts with us. We'll reach them. Maybe through your persuasions that we can, because sometimes we call them, they say, that seems not to be a friendly ground, and so they are hesitant to come. But we don't demean people. We respect our guests here. Oh, here we go. It's about to start. This building here, I wonder what will happen when this building is demolished. We can't do that because that's the official residence of the presidency of the Republic of Liberia. I'm going to say, give me a chance, I want to go on airflow. or full flow. It doesn't matter which flow. The idea, let me just reside in there and run the day-to-day activities. So, towns, yeah, they are coming, and they will be here soon. So this building has been heavily contested. It's just a structure, but we, the voters, the electors, are the decider of this game here. So how are the people in Liberia going to vote? On what basis? Sometimes here, I know people look at critical issue. But let me not just do the talking. Our senior contributor, Sese Goya, is here. And Liberty Party, George Lobbo, is tapping through here this evening. I imagine. As long as Sese is ready to do it, because Sese from the LPP side, opposition, so I will see how they're going to square out. They're going to realize after all today's what? Tuesday, just chill out. So let's get a conversation going here. I'm Alfonso Z and Sort of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR-TV. Let's get down to the wire. Election, and the contest, the marathon for the 45 executive mansion. Remember those days when Elizabeth Blunt or Robin White and all of these national, international correspondents, they are reporting to say the 45 executive mansion. You know, that's where the president lives. Okay, so we'll continue to showcase this one so that we gotta force these guys to come. Please, if you are supporting the force, then let them come. They need to tell us something. We had a big surprise the last time around. Do not be a collaborator or facilitator of this sort of surprise. Let me go to Minneapolis, Minnesota. The newly elected, or my member, if anyway, election, you not do a back, he gone back to the bowl. Chairman, let's bring in our own Sister Goya, Scarlett, and also senior contributor of the Liberia Public Radio. He's based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hey, my dear brother and friend, congratulations. Man, that vote was what? It was a big number. Good evening. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing, my brother? Thank you. And thanks to the people of Minnesota. You know, we hope this get reflected in Liberia to some extent. You know, people came and listened. The noisemakers ran around, but the people still saw through and made some critical decisions. So we're happy to be back on the board of directors of the OLM. And having said thank you to everybody who came out to support us. You see, one of the reasons we're a credible platform, and I'm going to put it out here before we start this whole I was about to hit the ceiling, is that behind the scenes you offer that we could use this platform to talk about my campaign. You remember that, right?
Yeah.
And I intentionally never used this platform because I didn't want it to look like we were taking an added advantage, an unfair advantage to the field. We wanted to let people know that we could maintain the credibility of this platform and still beat people. Even though have we come on this platform and talk about it, we're going to have thousands of people coming out. But we wanted to keep the playing field level and maintain the credibility of this platform to still let people know that when you talk and you walk the walk, people come out and vote, even in Minnesota where it's 20 degrees or 10 degrees.
Oh. Why you just ignore all my to do that? Okay, let's go to a
I was trying to prove a point.
Wow, man, you hell of a man. Okay, let's go to the Garden City Bell that our senior contributor, Madam Koto Balayan Jala, aka Blessing. Good evening, welcome.
Yeah, good evening to you and good evening to Cesar. And I want to say it's a blessing to be in the midst of you guys. And I want to say hi to our Liberian people wherever you are. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. And I'm glad to be here for us to discuss the Liberian issues. And we always hear. And I think you made a mistake and said Lobbo from the Liberty Party. Lobbo is from the Unity Party.
Did I say Liberty?
Yes, he said the Liberty Party. So Lobbo is from the Unity Party.
I thought maybe they were going to recruit the man, Mr.
Who knows? Because I got a message here. The man said he going over to so. I mean, yes, I come here. His message go. Yeah, man, we tired with it. Liberty, Unity, WCA, and all that kind of stuff here. Okay. All right, guys, thank you for being here. Again, I apologize. Yesterday we couldn't be. I think we need to start doing some inside work. So when one person not here, somebody can take charge here. But while we're gonna get on this thing here, man, we gotta talk about this OLM here. Why you decided to why you decided to go back? You guys, are they paying you guys?
Nah. As a matter of fact, you pay to be there. You know, community leadership, Mr. So, is near and dear to me. Even though you know what it means to be in community leadership, it's a thankless job. People insult you. People assume everybody is stealing in every community organization without any proof. But we cannot abandon our communities. We can. For those of us that have been blessed with any level of intellect or leading skills, we always have to step up. Even if people insult us and accuse us wrongfully. I've had a lady real quick. When my wife and I bought our new home, a lady met me in the Walmart and said, "Oh, you're using OLN credit to buy a house, to buy your home there now. How do you use an organization credit to buy a home?"
You're quite to indict people.
But you still got to step up. You still got to do the people's work. So the OLM is one of the most vibrant Liberian organizations in the diaspora. We are blessed, so we are on because we think there are a lot of work to be done. There are more work to be done for our people. We've gone from being an organization that will run like a $10,000 budget to last time we had over $180,000 in grant. So we are pace sitter. We're doing the work. We're doing the best thing. We had to be on to make sure we finish the work. But this is my last term on the OLM board. I promise that after this term, we will give the baton to a new breed of people to come on.
All right, before we start our national conversation, you are making a full-fledged, full disclosure commitment here. If your people come and say, "My man, you gotta go by," you're not going by.
No. I think to make sure that the people don't come back and say we gotta go back is during this next term, we're gonna be working to recruit people, get ready, train them, get ready so that when we exit, they can be able to step into our shoes. Because quite too often, why people come back to ask you to come on is because you have not created that next line of people in the waiting line to come and take over your position.
Okay, well, guys,
you're scared to tell him don't be like Morba Molu or don't be like Akara's Gray. You're scared to measure what people need.
Koto coming, Koto ready to open the
wound.
Okay, good evening, Dr. Toto, my dear friend and brother George P. Lobbo Jr. of the Unity Party. Is that Unity Party or Liberty Party?
Life.
Good evening, Afonso. You made George laugh.
I
heard that you switched parties, so I'm asking George Lobbo, will you please talk to me? Are you still with Unity Party or are you going to Musa Ability?
Mr. So, you know very well that I'm one very, very, very committed and consistent young man, and that's something I think many Liberians can bet for. There are a lot of things they disagree with me on, but consistency is something that many people will bet for me on any given day. So that means I've stayed with my party, and I'm still a member of the Unity Party, and an official of the party.
The person that shared that information, that was a fake news, and I want to make sure to validate that.
Do breaking news on here and let us know that he's switching over to the Liberty Party. Yeah,
man just sent me a text, my man, how you can do that kind of thing? I would do it. He said he would do it at appropriate time. So, all right, guys, we just having a little time here before we go. Dr. Toto, good evening. Koto. Hello, Mr. Lobbo, good to have you here. I think it's important we shared, conversations on different platforms to know exactly what is happening there, because you guys are connected to folks in the bear world. So maybe having conversation, we'll get a sense of what's happening here. Who knows? After the appearance of George Lobbo here, Ambassador just said Nyuma Boyka will chip in here. You never know. So I don't take anything lightly. Okay, guys, good evening and welcome to the show. It's going to be an open mic conversation here. So potentially you also have the right to chip in something that you feel is of national concern and worth conversation. But Lobbo here is passing through, so we intend to get a little bit more of what is happening with under the belt of the Unity Party. But get ready. I have two folks here that are a strong supporter of Council of Tier 1 Gonglo. So they could potentially throw the law book at you guys, but I think you have Cotto on the other side as an ally. So I think it's all square up. But when Amon George comes out, then the whole train going to derail for sure. Okay, so gentlemen, let's start this.
But can I ask a question real quick before we get started?
Oh, sure.
I know my my brother Sisu is a strong Gonglo man. You said there are two people here with three. You said Sis Koto could be an ally of the Unity Party. So the only person left that the Honorable Dr. George Toto.
But then you didn't hear me. I said a Gonglo man. That a progressive.
I just want to know, but I want it. And so since we here, let me know. So when I'm responding to him, I know exactly what I'm saying. So at least, so I like to know, you know. So let me hear it from him. I just want to confirm it. I'm my own people.
But George, I am a LPP man.
It was say what's up.
And I tell my heart on the LPP candidate.
LPP candidate. Yeah, even by that, the LPP folks is quite interesting. They're going to be here. They're going to be here to join us as well this coming Friday. So we're going to see what can happen. So let me see.
We are progressive. That's why we are sympathizer of the Unity Party or ANC, but we still will be a progressive.
Still progressive. All right, guys, just bear with me here, please. Okay, but in the interim, I know all of us news freak. I like to pen the iron with his heart, and I want to get Mr. Lobbo's reactions. I'm going to get Sissy reaction. I'm going to get Cotto reactions. I'm going to get Dr. Toto reaction because it's quite interesting. Let's see here. What happened today? Let's see here.
I'm gonna be in the background when there's little thing. Then I come to throw light. So let me be in the background.
I hear what you want to do today.
I want to give all opportunity to Lobbo to.
I hold an eye conspiracy.
That one can do hit and rush. One can shoot.
Whatever you think, whatever I can do to promote Joseph Yuma Baka, I can do anything else other than killing to promote Joseph Yuma Baka.
Okay.
I'm
gonna Grand Basso County to them. Yeah.
They Alfonso Soga would do what here
to should I reposition Cotto from should I keep distance kind of text messages?
No, I think we also lot a couple said on the show some time ago, so why get about the cloud to bring Lobbo on the show. So Lobbo is here to die. So
yeah.
Did you say I did what? Because
you say some time ago you're coming why get about the cloud to bring Lobbo on the show.
And I did it. And maybe I will bring Joseph Yuma Baka one of these days. You never know.
No, say certain things. Don't say and maybe the way you brought
probably we're gonna come on the show. We try to
come and say it's positive because I know the man has a business schedule. I can't just be exact to say okay, this no. He has
one thing I will tell you about her, she's very persistent.
Yeah.
She don't take no for answer. So I would just leave it like that. So when she said she was working to bring me, she is very persistent, and it was no joke.
Okay, let's get a ball rolling here. Let's see here. Let's see what happened today. And of course, it's here, but it's interesting.
on the grounds of the Capitol building today a billboard of himself and Joseph Yumamba, and also another billboard on the other side, which of course I will show soon, of him and Mr. Cummings. According to him, he said because on the grounds of the Capitol building they have George Weah photo here, and so today he decided to bring the opposition on a billboard.
Single for danger in our country. Do you think your take as a representative, you think you will be re-elected due to some of the usual behavior you are exhibit at the level of the legislature? I don't want to be re-elected. You should be asking Bobo Chimo to be re-elected. Bobo Chimo will not be re-elected because you have become a mistake to this country, a complete embarrassment to the country. Like Chester Grant had a document. He was expelled from LU and expelled from Cottington. We still got him here. Bringing the horse to public ridicule. You know me to falsify people is criminal under the law. Our Chester going to be arrested and will be calling on the horse to arrest him. He need to be prosecuted. You are seen always abusing the presidency. Your stand in our country has brought shame. Tell me one insult what I have given the president. So, you can recall when you introduced football, there was an insult being ring on the football. Our president, when he went to America, open there for in a TV to one football game. So when I doing football, there I insulted. So okay, I agree. I insulted. So Obama, I mean, what a man, Joe Biden insulted him, right? You see, you have become you want to talk to the American government for insulting your president? Your president has become a mistake, a football player. So you went way to America to say, can't watch football game. Because your sins in your foot. Oh my God. Okay now? So we want to close our for human being to encourage them to vote for the opposition. Opposition! Then I will know one day Babu can do.
So this is so let me just show you the other side of the banner. According to him, he said that because of President Weah banner is here at the Capitol, so he went and brought his own banner too, which of course indicated to because this is Honorable President George Weah banner. Alongside on that banner is Bobo Chimon and Abochie, both are her speaker, and this is the other banner of him and Honor Mr. Alexander Benedict Cummings. So he had two banners. One in his
So, Election Commission number 2 made a public declaration today, taking on conventional wisdom. That's Representative Yeket Kaluba. That's how the BBC guys they were calling. Let me start from Josh Lobbo. Josh Lobbo, did you see that live event today? When I unmute your mic.
I watched it this morning on my way to the office. You know, Liberia is an interesting country. And on the basis of that, I would say to you, our people will have a decision to make come 2023. You know, Dennis, sometimes I know we want to speak about Yeke Kaluba's actions and his way of delivering messages or his presentation style or skill set. But you know, the government itself that is responsible for upholding the basic standards, the norms that we all should abide by, has been in constant violation of these things. So while it is true, I would not support campaigning at the Capitol building. But again, they set the stage. Yeke just following through. I recall when I went to Liberia in 2020 during the referendum, all government buildings was used as campaign materials for the government. I don't want to just speak to today, because I campaign against the government heavily. The government painted their campaign messages, even on the Unity Party ministerial complex. The maternity center, the old health ministry on the bypass, the big campaign with there. So these things is a continuation of the leadership that President we are continuing to demonstrate. And Honorable Yeketu is just falling in line. Now, again, is that the standard we want to set for the country? No. Should it be happening? No. But again, it's important that the leaders set the tone. And this is the unfortunate situation we are faced with. And that is why the sooner we get rid of George Weah, the better it will be for our country. And that way we can begin to hold people accountable. But Yeke is one lawmaker. Buffer Chima is campaigning, everybody, security personnel campaigning, they turn to partisan police. What can we say? You know, we can't just speak to one issue. We must look at the root cause of the problem, because part of the solution to solving any problem is understanding the problem. So I would just say, as bad as it may appear, but that is what we are up against, Mr. So. And I will leave it as that.
Creating out of a possible condition scenario, justifiable reasons in his own way here. Let me come to Sissy. I saw that today, and I saw the poster of the president, Capital First Branch of Government. Kaluba, does he have an argument here?
Well, in so much as we are thinking the word in which we're arguing is the word in which the rule of law does not exist, then yes. But here is the problem. I think to a greater point that I want to agree with George Lobbo to some point, what he's trying to stress is the absence of the rule of law. When you are not, when there's nothing to enforce rules that are on the books, then everybody, human nature is to always test the bounds of how far you can go before the law pushes back. That's what we keep saying over and over. Look, there are bigger things to be discussed that I think Yeke might not have said it so eloquently. Like I always say, I give the president, he doesn't say it quite eloquently, but I understand where he's trying to go. It's the same thing. I understand where Yeke is trying to go. Yeke complained initially about the billboards that were posted everywhere in Monrovia prior to the 1 million that got fit in the space that can only fit 10,000. I'm still trying to figure out that geometry, the volume. But Yeke complained that the president picture was everywhere, and it was everywhere, talking about 2023 election, and it was like campaigning. And the election commission or whoever is in charge of making sure that the laws are followed, they're nothing. They're absolutely nothing. And so what Yeke kept saying was that the playing field was being unleveled in front of the faces of everybody. You know, we already know that when you are contesting elections, like the George Weah government has shown us in Liberia, they use state resources, which is not fair. You're using my tax dollars to campaign against me if I'm a candidate, which is not fair. Okay, now you're using EPS officers. Did you see that thing that press release, that joke that is said to have come from the government, talking about they realized that, you know, those EPS officers were zealous and they should not have. The men, they were right there for the president and everybody. International community, they had a complaint. So we are looking at all of those pieces. And I see what Yeke is trying to say is that we cannot sit and allow these people to continue to create an uneven playground. So he went to level the playing field in his own way. I really don't see any problem with that. I really don't. If people have issues with that, they should be making sure that we are pushing the election commissions and the integrity institutions and the Ministry of Justice to make sure that they're enforcing the laws without favor. You can't have some people living above the law and other people living below the law. That is not right. So I might not agree with sometimes the verbiage that Yeke Koloba uses, but you know, once you open the door, you know, one of my papas used to say, in Monrovia, right? If you're in the swamp, when it's hot, you got two options. You can keep the window closed and the heat can suffer you, or you can open the window. But when you open the window, that cold air that coming, mosquitoes all coming with it. And so when the government decided to open that window on our electoral process, mosquito, everybody will fly through it, and that's what Yeke Koloba is doing. So I really don't see a problem with that. I think there are bigger issues here. When we have the paramilitary forces wearing regalia of a political party, and they are heavily armed, and the government is telling us that they didn't see that until international partners and other people started crying. That's funny. But we want to focus on Yahya Koloba putting 2 signs at the Capitol, which is his way of protesting instead of calling thousands of people in the street. That was his protest. I really don't see a problem with that. I was just hoping he would have had Tiawan Bongo on there, then I would be happy. But he didn't. So I will reach out to him and I will protest to him too.
Oh my goodness. So Dr. Toto.
Yeah.
The process in Liberia now is kind of like, I don't know. I didn't see.
The process in Liberia first, I because of polarized. Every time that we see Newton tell law of emotion play in Liberia politics now. That's what happening. We saw some time ago the chief of staff make a reckless statement in the country. Our just a ministry or attorney general becomes so political. They don't address those security issues that threaten national security. So that is happening. Why would the government, even before Yahya Koloba carried on to do a posting or whatsoever on the cabinet, why would the government even allow, to allow their placard to be on the Capitol building with what they got the protest picture, everything on it. Why would they even say they lie to go that far? No, they got to have no caution in their mind to tell them that this is wrong, or they just want to play on the mind of the Liberian people. That's what happened. And I don't blame Yahya Koloba. I want to do, even I don't be having problem with Yahya Koloba. Say maybe from day one, say he be go against the government. Maybe his languages, he be expressing. Maybe that only to get problem. But the way Yahya Koloba deal with the government, I want 100% support of it. And you want to put a post on Facebook some time ago that somebody even insulted me. They say, Bella, you say you support like Yahya Koloba. I do support him. Because what? If Yahya Koloba have not gone out today, it would have been an easy ride again for the government. Why would you even sit and allow an EPS soldier to carry arm? There are bigger issues in the country that was always tackling to deal with kind of the political issue in Liberia. If all the political institutions, party company Liberia say no go billboard up to the Capitol building, why going to happen? And the election commission, I'm getting so afraid now. The election commission is getting to a point now that if the various political institutions don't open their eye, anyway,
the first side of it here, not to interrupt you, seeing what is happening now, and the commissions is the institutions that have the authority to supervise, to conduct, bring into check if there's any violation, if there's anything inappropriate, that not in conformity with the election laws. Now, remember, this year is not like the last time around. 3 major elections. We're going to be having the presidential and the two both lower first and upper. Yeah, going to be going. So it's going to be a tense election, considering all that is unfolding right now. And the election commissions is so quiet. I don't know whether it has addressed the issue on some of these. I think what are the political parties or stakeholders they have expressed informally with the election commission. Should one wonder as to whether these commissions can properly execute and manage the affairs of the 2023 both elections in Liberia, considering what is unfolding right now?
Right now, look at what is going on. I'm a little bit worried because the election commission said that even up to the task to even use a system that will pull the Liberian people talk about biometric. The sensor the so-called sensor that took place Liberia recently, we don't even know the correct variable of the sensor. Is it 5.6 billion or 2 billion? We don't even know the variable of the sensor that took place. How many voting population we have in Liberia right now that will allocate biometric system for them? And then they put out a statement a couple of months or weeks ago. They talk about you have to have an ID, identification card, passport, or something to be registered to vote. Okay, look at the population of Liberia. The last election, that took place. I think the population that voted, I think about 1.something million Liberia. Out of that 1.7 million, majority of the population come from the hinterland in the interior south Liberia. Where these people ever have ID or voter registration to vote through that process, the other setting want to bring voter registration process. So I'm worried about the election commission, to be fair. I don't know how they're going to handle the election. I don't know how the opposition or the various political party coming together to see how to address the issue, to have a smooth election. Like, I'm worried about it. Maybe other colleagues can talk about it, but I'm worried how they will be ready how to be successful.
Sissy, are you worried as well?
Well, I am, but I'm not losing sleep over it. Simply because I've become indifferent to the ability of the current structure to do anything meaningful, anything logical. Look, the census is supposed to inform how electoral boundaries are drawn, representative boundaries. So representatives are going to be vying to represent districts that might be illegal. So you think about that. With the shift in population, for example, Margibi, there's a lot of people moving to Margibi from Motrowado because they're buying homes over there. So are you telling me that they're still going by the same electoral boundaries that was drawn during Madame Salif's term to still be there? So you're going to have some people representing more people than others. How is that fair? How is it that somebody representing 10,000 people should have the same right, the same voting right, the same power as somebody representing 3,000 people? That in itself is unequal, it's unfair, it's unconstitutional. You know, so I sorry for me being cynical, but I have become indifferent when we look at all of these failures of system. Look, I am really, and I'm going to say this: what would have happened had we not had Madame Salif fought her for all you want, and I got a whole lot of fought for her, but has she not at least lay out a foundation coming from post-war? Have we gone directly to George Weah? Because he has some systems handed out to him, and he operates as if there was no system handed out to him. So imagine if we're depending on this group of people to create a system, to lay a foundation of a system, when they can have the final minister come and just put chat up and flip something you got from on Google and just can put it on and talk tabata and go by business. And everybody say, Bobo, you strong, you go by business. Right? I think so. For me, we have to make sure that we continue to push the National Election Commission, but also equally so continue to push Frank Musa Dean. Look, there are a lot of troublesome things that are happening in that country. Dr. Toto talked about the chief of staff of the armed forces, you know, this reckless remark. But you can go even further back, right? The July 26 issue. Have those people been persecuted? The president said that he was calling for their persecution. What is the latest on that? That's violence. You look at all of the electoral violence that happened from the by-election to the special election. Right? So has anything changed? No. So why would I be hoping that something will change? Absolutely not, because this system has shown me that nothing can change and nothing will change. They got guns in Yeke Kolobaka. That's why, and I will say this real quick and land. That's why, you know, when I see the battles of the pastors, the prophetic pastor Prince Johnson, who prophesies that the election will be rigged, to the miraculous pastor Bekube, who can turn water into gun. They found guns in Yeke Kolobaka, right, when they were supposed to be water, right? What happened to the guy that got arrested at the retired campaign rally with the gun? They haven't said anything about that. So and I think if you put all of those together in this totality, that is a reason for the frustration why Yeke Kolobaka is doing what he's doing. So we have to continue to push this integrated institution to do what they're supposed to do. But sadly, I don't have any hope in that.
I'm going to restructure the question coming to you, Joyce Lobbo, in that you are from a major opposition bloc. Your guy, he was in that position before. Considering all that is unfolding right now, How is it being viewed? What is the conversation? Or is there any conversation taking place in terms of apprehension, potential election violence, with this sort of things that were happening? The guy who was taking on to define conventional wisdom is Yaka Koluba. Do you talk to the ambassador today? Did he manage to see the image as well?
Not today. I've not had a conversation with him today, but I do speak to him regularly. Let me be very clear here. It is concerning, but notwithstanding, I'm not worried about it too much. President George Weah believes that he is going to create this chaotic situation, one which will benefit him. And I think it's because he has not read sufficiently. If President Weah had just done his homework to read on what can happen when elections are tampered with, especially for a leader who is the least productive president on the continent of Africa, that is a bad ground to be trending on. Leaders who are doing well, when they manipulate the system to stay in power, people tend to say it's because he's doing well. But for a guy who is recording songs at his studio to be thinking that this is an opportunity for him to keep himself in power. I know when we say certain things, especially for guys like us, it gets carried differently. So I will be very measured in my statements tonight. But I'll tell you one thing, Mr. So. The very good thing, we've been very clear, especially from the Unity Party perspective. Before the senatorial election in Lofa County, our Senate Bureau made it very clear that we had no confidence in the election commission. Look, I listened to my brother.
Including today, is that a position of the Unity Party, you think?
It has not changed. Let's be honest here, Mr. So. The Elections Commission should be one of our finest integrity institution. People who preside over election matters should be people with distinct character, should be people with impeccable integrity record. Sadly for us, the Election Commission is an indictee who was built out by a FIFA banned indictee. Folks, the records are there. A man who is indebted to the government in the tune of $5 million. He does not have money to pay the government, but he has money to build an indictee out. So she's been compromised. But I'll say this to you. Never test the resilience of the Liberian people. I will say this again. George Weah may have been outside of Liberia. People say President George Weah suffered his struggle. That's a lie. George Weah never really struggled. By the time the man was playing for IE, we know how football players survive in Liberia. The rest is history. The man will leave the country before the war would start. While we were tolling mattresses on our heads and moving from one place to another, the man was living in luxury. Those were some of the most glorious days of his life. He has no understanding of what it feels like. So again, he's trending on bad grounds. But African leaders only seem to come to their senses when the clocks run out. And I hope, George Weah.
Is it running out?
The clock has ran out a long time ago. It's been done. Mr. So I will tell you today, if President Weah was to test the system, we don't do early voting in Liberia. If we did, I don't think George Weah would campaign. I can tell you, Liberians make up their mind way before the election even come around.
Okay. You are injecting another parcel here, but we will still be going back and forth since it's an open mic here. I still yet to be convinced. Sister Goyot, hearing what I'm hearing, George, we are done. I don't know in what context, but basically we are talking about electoral process. So he's simply saying here, literally, that when elections were here today, Liberian people are going to decide. Is it fair to say or to come to that conclusion that the Liberian people, have they decided what to do if the election was to be here today? Is that something, is that a strategy for the opposition to count on? Maybe Bilbo going at the executive mansion, EPS, security apparatus giving a party rally protections, or maybe something extraordinary other than the normal things unfolding. So we should draw the red line that the president he will be defeated comes election. Is that a winning strategy?
Well, I don't think George Lobbo is speaking to a strategy. I think he's articulating data, like analysis, not a strategy. So yes, and if we're looking at the prevailing circumstances and comparing them to 2017, 2016, I would say yes, the president is in a heap of trouble. Look, the very first round of the election, the president did not win 50% plus one. He was less than 40%. It took a collection of other political parties in round two to push him over. And back then, there was no record to hold him accountable to. He had a luxury of being perceived as an opposition against Joseph Boakai, who was perceived as an incumbent. And if you know historically in Mosorado County, especially in Monrovia, that has always been the bedrock of the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Hence the reason George Weah defeated Mr. Salif handily. But the CDC failed to learn their own lesson from there. And they brought Paulita Wig, and I keep talking about her wig falling down when they dragged her, when Delon beat her. And then it went by, brought my uncle and opened ATMs everywhere. So if you look at that and you see that you had a structure, you had a coalition that put you over, and you did not have a record to run on. Now you have records. Now there are things we can talk about. Back then, the people were walking by faith. They were believing in faith. When this happened, the man got international partner. This will happen. If George Weah win, that man had lived in France. This will happen. If George Weah win, this will happen. Back then, the people had a luxury.
Okay, let me hold you there a little bit here, Sissy, and let's have a conversation before he can. Talking about the record. Is the opposition appropriate? Are they interpreting and making the argument of this record, if they are there, and if it is, are they explaining it? Are they getting this message here? I'm curious here to know. And I just want to, because Monrovia is not the Republic of Liberia. You have other 14 political subdivisions that vote matters as well. So the point here is the opposition adequately making this case or these sort of issues, making the world, is it being well interpreted?
Can I respond to that real quick? Let me say this to you, Mr. Soul. It is your job to ask the questions you're asking, which I admire, and I always tell people that's why I like to come here. But having said all of the things you've said, we cannot unveil to you what our strategy is for winning will be. But we are not ignorant to the fact that for us to be able to defeat the CDC like we want to, we have to make sure that we articulate President Weah's failure. And by doing so, we have to go to the people. We have to inform them. We have to tell them why they have to first register. And when we tell them why they should register, the importance of going out to register, then we must tell them why they should vote. And in order for us to convince them why they should vote for our side, we have to be able to tell them that you've had a side. Now let's look at what they've done. So I'm not going to sit there and unveil our strategy to you, but I tell you, Mr. So, if you
not necessarily to me,
no, but Mr. So,
indirectly. But what I want you to understand, George Lobbo, you have Liberians listening, both in the USA. And interestingly, I think I put a data out here, the analytical report from Fred. I was kind of shocked and surprised to have our followers in Liberia to be heavily based as compared to US. So that is very cardinal into this sort of conversation that we are having. Are they taking these conversations taking place?
Absolutely. Our people, look, Mr. So, I have people that will inbox me from parts of Liberia that you don't even think the people there will subscribe to social media to say, my man, thank you guys for what you guys doing. Some people will make recommendation that you guys need to come on the ground. Look, Mr. So, you recall the 2020 referendum. Many people thought it would be difficult to defeat the government. The government missionaries were out, heavily campaigning. But again, what did we do? We defeated the government massively with very little effort. Imagine if I had had 10, let's just say 5 other persons joining me in Liberia, dividing the country into zones. And we are speaking to our people in town hall community rallies and educating and informing them. Mr. So, we didn't even do that much. The results were so deficient to the point that today the National Election Commission is yet to release the referendum results.
Let me just check you with George a little bit. The point that George raised about the referendum and also what the opposition did. At that time, George, we have a united coalition under the banner of CPP, which play a vital role, in defeating the government at that time. But with the opposition black that we're going to election, we have to beat that rivalry, opposition or ANC and Unity Party. On the other side, they are still muscling one another. And going to this kind of election now, with the momentum that the CDC had on the side with the past and track record that we have, how do you think we're gonna navigate through the process?
So it's very simple. My good friend and brother Sisu support Gongo, right? Gongo is in the opposition. I'm glad you said the Unity Party and ANC. There are other opposition political parties. There's a Rainbow Alliance of 11 political parties. The Unity Party have no beef with them. Gongo, we have no problem with them. What we cannot say is this, and I want all of us that sit on this platform and have these conversations. I think when we have this conversation and push this narrative about the opposition being so divided, it just fuels the government false narrative. Because let me say this to you. Everybody in the opposition wants to replace the CDC. And so there will be scuffles here and there. There will be disagreements here and there. But the most important thing that all of us, that must be our common denominator, is ensuring that George Weah is gone and is gone for good. And as long as we keep that as the fundamental piece of why we all are in the opposition, forget about what you people think. We don't have to meet in Accra to sign another piece of call. We don't have to meet at the Unity Conference Center to sign another piece of call. But what we can do is to ensure, I will tell you, Mr. Toto, and let me use this medium to say today. If an election is held today, and Joseph Newman Boaka is not in the runoff, if Etiawon Gongo is contesting against George Weah, maybe they have to come. They might say, Mr. Lobbo, we want you to go campaign for us. But whether they come to me or not, I will vote for him. It is not a discussion. If Alexander Cummings is in a runoff with George Weah, whether ANC people come to me or not, I, George Lobbo, will support Mr. Cummings. But the problem is, George Lobbo will make this statement. I will be gone today after the show. I will challenge you people when you have ANC people here. Let them make the same commitment. They won't say it.
The
problem is not with us. So this notion that we are at loggerhead with it, it's not us. It is what they want to do. We can't stop them. We can't beat them. It is their right to sell their guy. It is their right to push the narrative they want to. But we who've been involved in this, we are committed to rescuing the country. And so we believe that as bad as George Weah is for the country, that is why we will say, if Gonglo is in the runoff, I will support him. If Alex is Mr. Cummings is there, I will support him. Let them make the same commitment. When they start speaking like that, I think this notion of opposition unity will begin to flourish.
So, let me sound a little bit ridiculous here. Since you're going to come in here. And this is why you guys cleverly good at doing. Politicians, commentators, I host, and now you take this whole basket of deplorable now is been thrown at ANC, telling them they should make a commitment. When you call ANC people here, they will say, how you call it, the Unity Party. For the most part, when we have this conversation, you will never see these sort of rough edges, friction being created with Tiawangonglo, LPP, or B. But I'm not honest, I'm not getting it why this ANC and Unity Party, this sort of struggle here. It seems to me, and you also conduct a major platform. You are saying that our people, they are not forgiven that much politically. And it is established fact that there is some sort of bad blood with the ANC and that of the United Party. And let me just say here, I'm not sure whether you also are doing enough to dilute, to kind of cement this relationship. So in the event, the frustration is being echoed by Representative Yeke Koluba. I'm not sure whether you guys getting it. Like, even these people can come together, but he's still not giving up. So let me tell you, you are one of the close handlers of Ambassador Joseph Newman Boyka. No question about that. No, we cannot deny it here. Is there any conversation as far as you are concerned before CC comes in? Ongoing. When last Ambassador Boyka talked to Ellis Cummings? Do you remember?
I know they spoke when he visited the former vice president before he departed for the US. And they went in the office at the old man's house. They had brief conversations. But there have been conversations ongoing. Again, you have to understand.
Did you gather about the nature of that conversation? Brief.
You know,
what was the length of that conversation? Do you know?
From what my Senator Review told me is that he has made it very clear that he will maintain an open line of communication with Mr. Cummings and that they should keep talking. And he believes that there are opportunities that we can collaborate on certain things. As you all spoke about holding the National Elections Commission accountable, we must not forget that for even Mr. Cummings himself to win, there has to be a free and fair, transparent election, which of course for us in the United Party to win, that also we have to ensure that our votes are protected and they are counted properly. So I think that Tijuana people will agree with us that we all share the same interest. So look, we're not enemies. At the end of the day, that one Liberia we want. Whoever wins will have to be president of the Republic of Liberia for all Liberians. So we'll keep that line of communication open. And Mr. Cummings and Ambassador Boyka go way back. A lot has happened. Now, when you talk about bad blood and this and that, I think you should be talking about the ANC. There are people, there's a fraction of the LP who has this problem with them. Having said that, again, in 2023 now, George Lobbo in particular, what I've decided to do, Mr. So, is that the ammunitions that I do have now is being directed towards the CDC. And I will do nothing but continue to move. I know who our main enemies
are. You are making commitment. I want to bring Sisi in. You are making commitment here that George Lobbo will no longer get under the throat or under the belt of ANC, considering that you all are under the opposition bloc. You will not do it. What becomes of the other people? Or you just surrender your ammo to the other guys to do the dirty work? Is that it or what?
Mr. So we've tried. I've always been preaching the need for us to elevate the debate, that it should be based on substance. It should be based on our policy disagreements. It should be based on our vision for the country. And having said that, I look forward to those type of discussion with the folks from the ANC. And I want us to debate our economic plans and our plans to creating jobs, expanding the economy, alleviating our people out of poverty, improving the healthcare delivery system in the country. Those are the discussions I'm more interested into now. I think for the past 3-4 years, we've had the other side of the politics now. Now I'm in serious campaign mode where I have to continue to articulate our position and our vision for transforming Liberia. And that is why we have Rescue One as our stellar bell. And that's our goal.
Sisi, Amos George, welcome. Sisi, I will be forced to bring you here. I'm seeing a different side of George Lobbo. I don't know because he's on the LPR, and then maybe when he turned to the drive, he will begin to drive like a guy who without a license plate and going through the red light, and then ticket going to be coming here. Look, the issue of this ANC and Unity Party, it is a problem. If you see what his name is, Koluba and many other Liberians, you talk, the plea is let them come together. Let them come together. Much is not with Gonglo. I mean, I think he can do everything here. But with the ANC and this Unity Party here, what you make of it? You're hearing Lobbo here tonight. Let's take in of what he's saying. But what becomes of other Lobbo number 2, Lobbo number 3? Would they do the same? Because as soon we go for this thing here, after a week later again, then we see people going ballistic and all that. He dashing on ANC. And I'm quite sure Amos George is going to put a defense warrior for ANC, that ANC is not a fan. But Amos George, you hold your peace. Don't flare up. Let me bring in Sissy Goya. Sissy.
So I've talked to George Lobbo before off screen. So him and I've had interactions. So I can say that the George Lobbo you see firing on the internet, for me, that is the exception. That is not a norm. The George Lobbo that's talking here, I think this is the norm. This is who he is. I'm just based on the conversations we've interacted before. So having said that, though, in politics, you have times where you have the luxury to do certain things. We're in 2023. Elections is months away. Look, any serious political party will start telling the surrogates and these people closest to the in decision making to stop the unnecessary bickering, because you don't have that luxury. You could do that in 2020. You could do that in 2021 and some part of 22. 23 is still doing that. You're no longer a serious person. So I think all these playtime recess finning. They're finna ringing the bell. Recess over. We're back now in class. And this is when the seriousness has to happen. I'm not going to get involved in the breakup, the divorce between the ANC and the Unity Party. The Baza say when you get go, don't talk go flower. So me, I ain't going to talk to my people, my people issue. But what I would say, however, though, is that I think, and I've always pushed back on you, Mr. So, when you've tried to lump the entire opposition into one bucket. Look, there are very credible, smart people running in Liberia. Tiawan Gonglo, Alexander Benedict Cummins, Joseph Yuma Boakai, Mandela Cooper. These are very smart people that have decided that they're going to raise their hands and they're going to take all of the firing that comes with that, because they have a plan for moving the country forward. What I think all of these people in the opposition believe in is that the current state of affairs should not be allowed to continue. That the republic should move forward. Now, it is the way to move the republic forward where people differ. And for me, I think this is where the Liberian people need to be given the right to understand where we differ intellectually, to discuss where we differ. We all can come here and say, yes, we need to revamp the education system in Liberia. We can all agree on that. But how do we do that, and what should be prioritized in the process, is where we will disagree. And we have to lay that down for the Liberian people, for our electorates, to make an informed decision. When they say, I'm voting for this person, that they can say, here is why I didn't vote for this person. But look, just real quick, and then I'll let Mr. George come in, is if in this country, Ted Cruz could vote for Donald Trump after Donald Trump insulted his wife and said his father killed JFK. If Marco Rubio, little Marco, could come back and campaign for Donald Trump.
Sister Goya.
I think these political parties, they can still come back together in round 2. I still believe that George Weah is not able to win round 1 straight out. There is no person right now that have the number to win round 1 straight out. So there's going to be, real quick, there's be an opposition a party that's going to go to round 2 with George Weah. And I can guarantee you that whomever that political leader is that goes to round 2, you're going to see a coalescence of people on the ground. Even if the top noisemakers like us don't come around, the people on the ground are tired of what they're going through. They're going to coalesce. They're going to go and cast their ballot to change their lot.
Sister Goyot, I'm going to be bringing in Amos here, but this is how you politicians, and this is how you guys are very clever and strategic in doing it. Our folks, they are not noted of managing crisis. You are talking about circumstantial stuff here. Okay, we leave it like this. At the end of the day, when it comes down to George Weah and something that was our politician, you can't compare Michael Rubio to the tolerance, the forgiveness of the politicians in the West for the sake of our country is not happening. We're seeing people here being very defiant. Let me bring in Amos George here. Amos
you
George,
really think people forgive Donald Trump?
well, some, not all. Amos George, good evening, welcome.
How you doing, Mr.? So, say
I don't want to
congratulations on
stare
your
out.
win.
I don't want to stare out trouble already out there. But you know me, I like to say as it is. You are ANC supporter. George Lobbo was very crystal. He was clear. He was blunt. Unity Party doesn't have anything. It is ANC getting under the throat of Unity Party. I'm wondering when the ambassador and Alexander Benedict Cummings, will one of these days, in the midst of all of this here, will come together. Are you guys the one causing problem?
Let me say that, Joe, how you
Then
doing?
when you leave with a
That-
question like that, it's a recipe for problem, man. You can't do that. You see,
Let me
you can't ask
Mr.
a
So,
question that
Mr.
much.
So,
Go
let me,
ahead, Mr.
No, I'm just asking
Yeah.
a simple
Mr. So,
question.
let me tell you.
How they make it create
Answer it.
problem, George Lobbo? How they make it create problem?
Sector right.
Why I don't
Mr.
want Amos George to answer his questions. I have to give him the chance. Why you want to shove stuff down his throat?
And then also sector right get a haircut. You know, so helps not tonight.
It's that do. Amos George, you guys are trying
You see what?
to distract you.
You know what? You're trying to distract. You're trying. But I was yes. First thing I have on this platform that Mr. Cummings and Ambassador Barkai, if they don't do the right thing and George will win the election, will you chase Barkai and Cummings out of the country?
Oh
Because
boy.
the like people, I put so much hope in the two people. So from day one, I always say that these people must work together. You know, I'm sorry. You know, I'm a Chihuahua can make some noise. Let me just refer to myself. But I think
That's
like
what-
will come above everything we say. Yeah, the bag make a whole lot of noise. But my point was said, and I continue to say this. Some of the people who go on Facebook and abuse and say all the belligerent things, they don't even know how the party is functioning. Some people claim, hey, I got access to the leader. This is this. But sometimes when some decision is being discussed, these people don't even know. So I would say, what a person like, bro, don't mind if you mind the noise in the market, you're not buy the fish. You're not buy the bone. So if Mr. Cummings and Ambassador Barkai decide to come together, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. There's nothing wrong with that. We saw Lindsey Graham. He said if Donald Trump become president of the country, we're going to be, and Lindsey Graham today is one of the champions of Donald Trump. So it's not out of the book that this thing cannot happen. Yeah, people fight, people make that's part of the people make noise and things, but if there's a bigger picture, and that picture is Liberia, and to have that problem solved, if that will cause Barker and Cummings to come together, they can do it for the sake of the Liberian people, not for personal ego. Someone who said that make all the noise, we're making the noise for something that we think when one of the people get to power, we will have. That's why someone want to make the noise. We are not sincere of what we talk about Liberia. That is the problem. So if Mr. George Lobbo come and say ANC is the problem, but George Lobbo, you know the problem, why we can't work on it? You have diagnosed the problem. So why we can't sit down and find a solution? So I'm not coming to say, oh no, it's the party. Mr. Lobbo has the ANC focus on the problem. But then why we can't sit down? Because if we want Liberia to be better, then of course we must be willing to sit down and talk. Despite our disagreement. So the challenge is to Mr. Lobbo and the rest of the other guy, because what you see, I don't know, is the entire Unity Party is speaking on. But if you're just an individual, then of course we can still talk. But if it's the entire party, then we can sit down and have the honest discussion. So what Mr. want us to do is to come and start to fall in that trap here. I'm also, oh no, it's the Unity Party folks. No, I'm saying if Mr. Lobbo knows there's a problem and the ANC is causing the problem, we can discuss it.
All right.
But first and foremost, let me be very clear. That Mr. So, that's how he plays the question for you. That is not the context in which I spoke. And so let's be clear. I didn't come here saying ANC is a problem. That's not what I said. I made a
That was
commitment.
if.
Actually, what
That
John
was
Lobo
it.
said,
Because I know.
you're the problem. What John Lobo said.
Let me ask George another question again.
This is how the politicians, that's how they toy with us. When they finish doing it, then they call what they call damage control. Then they kind of like, go ahead, Dr. Toto.
Yeah, I just want to add another question again, more to George while he's here. They're doing a lot of talking. George, another point of concern.
Am I a panelist or I'm a guest here tonight? Let me understand. Because if I'm a panelist, then
Well, I think.
Koto brought you as a man.
Okay, I will say that. I just wanted to understand.
What we're doing now, what we're trying to do to transition here, so we're coming to turn all of the wheels on you now. Since you're here, we need to know more. The old man is here. Who knows? We need to know more.
Let me take.
I have a concern. Even my woman team will go also too. And there's another coming. Right now at this age of the election period, we in February. A couple of weeks from now will be in March, going down the trail. When it comes to vice presidential candidate, President Weah have declared his intention already. He had a VP already. They went out. Whether there's a problem in the selection process, but at least they are showing themselves to the public. When it comes to Unity Party, anything going on, back see that we do a little bit because it's very important. Who will be elected, the vice presidential pick. We saw what happened last year where the VP picked my own man of the latter from my giving Nukwe, a good friend of mine. And we saw how that played what political that led to people like Berto Gafino to leave the party to go to CDC because he thought you were in line. So are you guys really looking at this scenario again?
Thank you for that question, Dr. Toto. Every election is an opportunity for political parties to learn from their mistakes. And I can assure you, we've taken that into serious consideration. The vice presidential pick is something we look at keenly, but you have to understand, there are a lot of things at play right now. The goal is not to have a vice president just because you want to have a vice president. It is very, very important. We have Ambassador Boakai, who's our standard bearer. There are a lot of different factors that we must consider. We have to be able to, I think, the thing about this that make this interesting, Ambassador Boakai was vice president for 12 years. So he knows exactly what the job entails. He knows exactly the type of vice president you must have to be successful, because we record Emerson Mnangagwa today in Zimbabwe. Once he fell out with the late Robert Mugabe, it was the beginning and the end of Mugabe's presidency. We saw that in other African countries. Once the vice president, the president did fall and they went apart, a lot of things came into play. What we want to do is we understand what happened in 2017. 2017 was a very special case. But one thing we can assure the Liberian people is that whoever we pick as the vice president will be one that will be well respected, that Liberians can go to bed and understand that at any given point in time, he or she will be ready to be commander-in-chief at any given point of the time. I will say this to you again. Mr. Toto, you live here in the United States. President Biden did not announce his running mate 4 months to the election or 8 months to the election. There are 6 candidates being considered. We talk about opposition unity. We are having conversations with other people. Look, I will tell you straight up. Our goal is
do you care to tell us who you, Lobbo, not to interrupt you, and I'm going to be bringing care. Do you care to share a note with us who specifically the ambassador or the leadership, the hierarchy of the Unity Party
You
having.
know I would never do that, Mr. So. That question, you know I would not do that. But I will say this to you. I think we've heard names, and that's what I would say to
What are the
that.
names?
Mr. So.
This is not a secret society.
Mr. So, let me say this to you. There are a lot of Liberians, qualified Liberians out there, and we must not forget the Unity Party is holding talks with other political institutions. We have allies who've been with us, and I strongly believe that it is every Liberian's right to contest. And I think Ambassador Boaka would do what is right and what is best for the country. And that is what I would say to you at this particular point in time. So we are having discussions on that.
Okay, let me bring in Koto here. Probably, I don't know whether CDC is part of that discussion there. I don't know. Are you having conversation with CDC as well?
Yeah.
Koto?
Yeah.
So let me add one question. Okay.
Okay.
If Papa ready again tonight. He ready with confusion again tonight. Yeah.
What?
Who's that?
Yeah, let me answer my own before they open.
Wait. So you think your Lobbo can beat me?
With that, is he trouble?
I'm asking, you think your Lobbo can beat me?
Can we put a ring down tomorrow? Not tonight.
Now, what could text me, Pa Josh? She just texted me.
We can plan that tomorrow.
She just texted me and said she thinks your Lobbo can beat you. She sent a message to me.
Let me tell you something. If your Lobbo can beat me, we'll be inside in Quality in Bon County, so he can beat me there.
Okay.
I want to see the car that will carry your.
Okay.
I'll be there on the 25th. Are you coming?
Koto, the ambassador is here. You guys. I'm not saying you talk to him regularly, but you do support him as a first choice, correct? Yeah. Is it getting to the point? Is it getting closer? Maybe George will let us know, because and I know how consequential it is. Your vice president is someone that you must confide in, someone that you can trust, and all of that. But when there are some rough edges, it becomes difficult to cement that sort of role. So is a vice president, and Dr. George Toto can be a witness that his concern. That's his concern. Don't mind him, doing stuff like that. Amos George is concerned of as well. George Lobbo telling us now, giving a good historical file, which is good. The time Biden picked his vice president. Are we going to be waiting for that time, or is it better for us to know so that if there's any tactical or political change that can take effect? Are you concerned as well that it's the sooner the better in his pick?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. So. I want to thank Lobbo for accepting my invitation, and I'm so glad that you are here again, Lobbo. And we are here, on Liberian issues. We can never get tired of discussing the issues. While it is true that Ambassador Boaka is my first choice, selecting a VP is the prerogative of the president of the standard bearer. So he has to make that decision. He has to feel comfortable of who he wants, to work with. You cannot have a leadership, especially to be a president, and you don't have a vice president that working in line with you. We saw in the 12 years they worked together here in Ellen Johnson study, we did not hear any crash or dissatisfaction or disorganization in the, between them. So I think he, with that experience, would love to have somebody of his vice president that he will have that cordial relationship with. And also knowing all of that, it's also ceremonious. It will decide whether we be the winner or we be the loser. So all of these have to play right now. We calculating everything. The vice president's selection is going to be either a boost in our momentum or a breakdown. So we have to calculate. And our calculation is going to be quite perfect. And whoever whoever he
Do you think
selects.
Unity Party will go outside of the bell of Unity Party to go out there to broaden the scope of the campaign? You think so?
It is the prerogative of the standard bearer, and that is the law. It is his prerogative. Whoever he feels that he can work alone with comfortably, that's his prerogative.
Will you recommend that?
If I can recommend him,
I mean, yes. I mean, can you recommend as a personal, as a Liberian, to, I would like to see someone outside of Unity Party or someone within? I mean, I'm just providing alternative.
Of course, the option is there. Anywhere other Unity Party that can work along with him. I'm looking forward to seeing somebody that he's satisfied working with. And whoever he chooses, I will be satisfied because it is his prerogative. I can't make that decision for him. Why it is true that I may have people.
Let me make use of George Lobbo. Let me make use of George Lobbo, and I'll bring Sissy in and take the total. George Lobbo. Mr. Lobbo, are you there?
I'll listen.
Yeah, I don't want roller skating here. We don't roller skate. They say experience counts a lot, and I think there is still I strongly believe there's still an untold story by the vice president when he made that statement. He's a politician, and I don't think he's willing to go in there because there could be a political consequences when he said that. But he living in. But I'm quite sure at some point in time the vice president will be very explicit when he made that statement regarding his training with Helen Johnson Sirleaf. Is that enough reason for which the vice president is still holding on and considering and holding everything constant here? Which direction this vice president is looking, including let's look at a geographical location. Where do you think the vice president is turning his wheel? Do you know?
I like your brilliance and I like your attempt to get in answers. But let me be very clear, Mr. Soul.
Oh my goodness.
The former vice president has made it very clear that he will give the Liberian people a vice presidential pick that they all will be satisfied with. One thing we can say, we've learned our lesson and we are in no rush to make this decision. Look, let me say this to you, Mr. So. We are looking at all possible scenarios at play. The vice president is the number 2 man in the country, or is the number 2 lady next to the president. We are very, very concerned. He or she must be able to be commander-in-chief at any given point in time. It is not just about Ambassador Boaka. Having said that, I'm pretty sure the Liberian people are concerned. And what they are more concerned about giving our society is the ability of a president with a vision. We'll have a running mate for you people. We've assured the Liberian people Ambassador Boaka will not be on the ticket by himself. And what I would recommend now is that these conversations, I find it fascinating that there's this much urgency to know the running mate of Ambassador Boaka. I think there are other parties here too. I think we
always ask for ANC folks. So now we have a top surrogate of Ambassador Boaka. So
here's what I would say to you. Mm-hmm. We are going to deliver for the Liberian people a ticket that reflects the views and aspirations.
Is there any anticipated time? Kumi said in the third quarter, is any anticipated time from the ambassador?
As far as I'm concerned, when the former vice president makes his choice, it will be our responsibility to ensure that we deliver the news. Lord, Mr. So, the people have been waiting for the coming of Jesus. I think they can wait for the pronouncement of the former vice president.
You see that?
Hey, me, I found out in Liberian politics these days, you don't want to start quoting the Bible. That how the 3 Hebrew boys can enter different books and everything. So I leave that to the people who can go to Sunday school. Mm-hmm. And Pastor Prince Johnson. By the way, there's a remix though. I heard a new one drop. Is Mr. C, Mr. B, and Mr. J. They just added Mr. J to the remix. It just came out of Jamaica Records. But having said that, though, I just have a question because I know our brother here today is coming on, so we don't usually get him. So I'm gonna hold back on from pushing about my guy today because I have the chance to do that every day. I hope one day I can come on the drive to sell my guy, but that would be a whole different thing. But my question to you, though, Mr. Lobbo, is because people always talk about the electoral map from 2017 elections, and we know JMB held Lofa County so tight and so firmly. So my question now is, because I haven't seen it, but do you guys have a plan on expanding your electorates, your strongholds beyond Lofa County? So to like a Sano County, to like a River G and all those places. Do you have a plan to do that so that people don't just always hear Joseph Nyimabwakai and they pigeonhole him into automatically under Lofa he can compete?
Thanks for that question. And I will say this to you. We would be foolish, we would be naive if we thought that Lofa County would get us to the mansion. So Ambassador Boakai will be president for all Liberians. Look, Sizu, guys like us who are involved with this process. Look, taking away from your opponent in his stronghold is also a strategy to winning an election. So, for example, let's take Grand Crew. If Grand Crew is president, we have this stronghold. We don't want to win Grand Crew, but if we can diminish or if we can reduce the amount of people president we are wins by in Grand Crew, it favors us. So we are leaving those two unturned. So I will say this to you. It is our goal, and it is part of our outreach campaign to expand our base across the 15 political subdivisions in the country. And I will be heading to Monrovia soon. Again, we can unveil our entire strategy here.
Are you going along you going along with the vice president when he returns?
No, the vice president departed the United States on the 10th for the Republic of Liberia. I will be following, but I can say to you, Mr. So, one thing we're very clear about is that we've drawn a different map for 2023. And I can assure you, we are going to be robust. We are going to move with force. You will see our game. It will be different, but again, we are going to make sure that the message about rescuing the country and the urgency to ensuring that President George Weah and his group of hustlers turn over state power come January 2024, that mission is accomplished. So yes, we are not dependent only on Lofa. But again, it's always good to have that base and expand. Don't forget, let's take Nimba where your guy come from. Ambassador Boakai came second in Nimba. All right.
Is there any candidate for Unity Party in Lofa? Because last time around, Unity Party, I believe the ambassador went there, but what are the Unity Party as an institution raised an individual? Yes. So that is a challenge. Is there any candidate for Unity Party in Lofa, you know?
In terms of what? Contesting for what position now?
Would I end up the lower house up?
Absolutely, there are going to be candidates. Definitely will few candidates in some districts. But again, our goal is not just to reduce the conversation to Lofa. We want to make sure that now we are looking at new maps. We are bringing counties into play that we feel now that they have to be part of our.
Where is the concentration? Where's the concentration?
I think from a strategic perspective, that would not be feasible to talk about. But our concentration is across the
Nimba Bon County. They are part of
Mr. So I know you've tried, but I will say again, our concentration is the entire 15 political subdivision across the Republic of Liberia, and that's our focus and that's our goal.
So which county you think you did badly in that you hope you will do better in 2023?
To be honest with you, quite friendly, we felt that Grand Cape Mount was one of those counties that have always been Unity Party stronghold. We think our showing in bombing did not turn out like we anticipated. There are counties that let me say this to you. no matter what you do, there are certain counties will vote George Weah. So you have to be cognizant of those counties. But again, because they will vote George Weah, don't mean you don't make efforts. You know, I'm a strong believer of this statement that the fact that you try hard does not guarantee success. But if you don't try, or you are guaranteed failure. And so we'll leave no stone unturned, Mr. So we'll do our part in
What was responsible, Mr. Lobbo? What was responsible for that? Was there a lesson learned? And what was the lesson, if it was learned?
You know, Mr. So, again, as an official of the Unity Party, my party contested an election in 2017. That there were a lot of internal wranglings within our party.
Example?
Again, we saw people from within our party had to join the CDC for us to be defeated. So what we are now going to do come 2023 now, we have a united, well-focused, well-rounded United Party. Look, I will say again to the Liberian people, one of the reasons why we in the United Party will feel very good about our chances, Mr. So, I think my brother Sisu was very clear when he began his conversation that I don't like Ellen. Mr. So, we walk a dead country, a failed state, and turn it into a functioning democratic society. Under our leadership, we increased civil servants' salary by more than 150%. Under our leadership, Mr. So, we inherited Liberia in 2006 over $6.5 million national reserve. When we gave the country to George Weah on January 22nd, 2018, we gave him a country of a national reserve of $154.8 million. We inherited Liberia with a budget of $80 million, Mr. So. With an $80 million budget, we resurfaced all the major roads across Monrovia and began to invest in community. We turned on small light today in our first 6 months in power. Small light today, big light tomorrow, with 2 megawatt power plant. Mr. So, we inherited Liberia with 0 megawatts of energy. The records are there. These are not made-up stories. The Liberians are not stupid. Many people might think the people don't know the facts. But let me finish on this real quick. When we inherited Liberia, Mr. So, we inherited Liberia with 0 road construction anywhere across the country. We left Liberia with over 650 paved kilometers of road, secured $280 million to pave the road from Ganta to Zweju. The second phase from Fishtown to River G was under construction. The Liberian people, they know the facts. Now the CDC will have to run on this record. And one thing we are clear about is when the time comes, we'll campaign.
Yes. So before Amos come in here, those were more or less we are talking about the past. The ordinary person who didn't even know this story now, they will say like, wait a minute, what is in it now in the future? That's what they might be asking for.
Let's see, let me go to the future. What does Ambassador Boyka offers now for the future? Arrest. We said, you know, people try to make this conversation to favor their narratives. We know there are enormous economic challenges that any government coming to power will be inheriting from George Weah. But what we have said is that our entire vision for transforming Liberia, given what we'll be inheriting, we sum it up into these 5 letters words. So again, what has been our major argument? We've seen reports under the CDC government that our people are too hungry to go to school. Agriculture remains key and center, part of our vision for moving the country forward. Roads, education, tourism, sanitation. Mr. So, every Liberian who understands
what is under the vice president bill in terms of investment in education, to roads and infrastructure?
Let me see. Look, Mr. So, listen. I think today, because of the nature of the conversation, I mean, if we're going to expand on our plans, I think that will have to be for a different show. Because let's come to under the vice president's bill for.
We are willing to do that.
I will make myself available. Just let me know. But I'll say this to you. He has been very clear. This is the only man in 2017 who made it very clear. What would be priority number 1? He said road. Priority number 2, he said roads. Priority number 3, he said roads. He understands the importance, the enormous opportunity that roads come with for us to invest in agriculture. So Where have we invested $30 million in Grange there, for example, in cocoa plantation there, or in a banana and cassava plantation there, and we can't get the goods to Ganta because of bad road condition. We want to build roads that will take our agricultural produce to the market. We want our people, not only that, roads are essential for the movement of goods and services. It is the government responsibility to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. What role is cardinal? Some of the prices, the reason why prices are skyrocketing, it costs more to transport goods from Monrovia to Zwedru today. What would that mean if we were to cut the distance down? What would that mean if people can come to Monrovia in the morning and be in Zwedru in the night? That is what we are looking at. We are looking at opening new corridors, major economic corridors. So again, I would say to you, Mr. So, even when it comes to the educational sector, we believe, given the geographic location of Liberia, someone can live in Ganta and go to Cottonton. Because now it's 45 minutes from Ganta to Banga. You technically don't have to live in Banga. Someone can live in Kakata and go to school in Monrovia. Someone can do the same.
Unemployed.
So, Mr. So, again, if we are going to invest in the agriculture sector,
George. Okay, let's see here. Are we having this?
Let me ask a question.
Yeah. So let Amos George come in.
George. Yeah, George. Let me ask you this question. I got one or two questions for you, and this is me. All the opposition parties, I have not seen any of the parties with a blueprint put on the table to the Liberian people. So what can we say here is our vision and how we think. But the presidential candidate themselves, the party had not put any structure out there to lay, or you talk about you naming roads, schools, everything. My own man, Alexander Cummings, had not put anything much out there to say where the money is going to come from and how he's going to achieve the school. The roads, where the money will come from and how he's going to carry on that structure. Because all the things require money. Money has to come from somewhere. And in order to do it, you must lay out to the Liberian people. We have to lay out to the Liberian people how we're going to achieve these things. What you just said is the same old song we're still singing. We are not putting anything forward on white to tell the Liberian people, this is what they will do, this is how we're going to achieve it. So these are problems. And I will frown on my own seat that, look, we need this document to be out there. So when we're speaking, we can make reference to it. Because what you see here, I don't know if you have it on paper, then you can put it out there. But everybody will say the same thing. Roads, agriculture, school, healthcare.
So what is your question? Is your question how we going to fund it? I'm going to answer that.
Hold on now. Just hold on, George. Yeah. What I'm seeing here, you can answer it, but it's not on paper. And if it's not on paper, it's not done. I can tell you, the WLA government spent about $92 million on education. Now, $92 million they spend education. And they're supposed to spend 20%, but right now it's 11% from the budget is that $92 million. And I'm saying that is not anything. It's a drop in the bucket. If we see that we want to improve education. So if I'm saying that the AS education, then I must have something to show to the people. This is how we're going to do this. So my question is, if you have that document, you can make it available. But just seeing it in the mouth, I don't take it seriously. And the second question I want to ask you is that I remember I think it was last
you asked the first question.
I had an interview. He says,
you asked for a question.
I told you, I said, how are they going to achieve?
He said he asked
your uncle said you want to distract me. I know what he said.
No, yes, I keep on laughing at my baby go back, bro. When you go like it's against our culture for me to say bad.
Oh boy.
But yeah, that's why you want to distract me.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you. Maybe you can comment on it if you don't. Okay. But he says one thing in his interview. He said before oh, he appoints in any that person will go to Liberia and live in that community for 6 months. We can appoint that. If you have to come out there, is there a realistic view?
So I will start from the bottom up. So it's a very, very, very realistic view. I think it's a good thing that he intends to travel around the country. He wants his ministers to travel around the country. I think what he was trying to say.
No, you said the minister will live there for 6 months before he.
Yeah, but if you want,
let him respond always.
So let me say this: if you say you will live in the country for 6 months, for example, I think it's a good thing. You're going to be minister for the Republic of Liberia. You're not going to be minister abroad. You're not the minister of foreign affairs or ambassador. So you have to be in the country. So let's take, for example, a county. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Ambassador Boakai is the only man in his vision to foster reconciliation has been very clear to say that every county will have a minister in his government. What does that tell you? That the government is not going to be regional based. It's not going to be based on travel line. So that means there's an even playing field. Having said that, I think it's a good thing because it is important that government officials do an assessment to see the conditions under which their people are living. Because having ministers who you appoint, who maybe they've not gone past Kakata, or maybe even when they pass Kakata, they go to Ganta. They have no understanding of what life looks like in Nengme, in Flompa, in Blon, in Kanwi, in Yasno, in Tonglewe. So it's important. They have never been to Zenzu before. They don't know what the conditions in Gondwe looks like. So it is very, very important that you have ministers who've gone around and seen the suffering of their people. So I think it's a realistic thing to do. That I think if I was him, I think he should even put a cap on travel.
No, you deflect for the first 6 months. I said going around. I said he said that this should live.
But if you go around, if you're in the country, going around, then what does that mean? Where you?
It's realistic. It's not. No,
it is realistic. Let me answer your last question.
Don't tell me.
Let me ask a question.
No, George. So, Dr. Toto, please, I want to answer his question on how we achieve our vision. And I think this is where our friends sometimes miss the argument. Your inability for your party to produce their plan and for them to articulate their vision must not be attributed to us. And I'll say this. I like how you say it's like they say, oh, they say the board that they say, oh, no. It is true. We have not written a plan to present to the people. But I'll say this to you.
Okay.
Everything I'm saying here today, Ambassador Boakai has had several appearances, several interviews, where he has articulated the same old thing. This is his vision for the country. So let's come to the issue of paying for it. Maybe you may have forgotten, but he was very clear in his deliberation when he said one of the fundamental landmark decision or ways by which we will be able to raise money to pay for these programs is to ensure that our government is fiscally disciplined. You remember that? He talks about cutting wasteful spending. He talks about every dollar taken away from public funds is a dollar taken away from a child in a village. So when people ask how we'll do this, we've seen a budget where the government is talking about $800 million, but it's overstating numbers. And the government, imagine, when Samuel Twe came to power, the Ministry of Finance budget was little under $55 million. Today, the Ministry of Finance budget is anywhere between $125 to $150 million. What justifies that? What justified that? Look at the increment in that. President Ellen Johnson said who you clean was wasteful. Her office budget did not reach $14 million. President Weah's first budget was $17.1 million. That's an additional over $3 million. You know what $3 million can do if we decided that we're going to take it and just build low-income housing in Bomi? So some of these questions about how we pay for it, having a government that is fiscally disciplined, that is spending within its means, that is not borrowing to take people on expensive debts like the CDC is doing, borrowing to pay high salaries for themselves, we can begin to do that. But again, there are other means. If we show that our government is credible and our government is trustworthy, that our president is dedicated to fighting corruption, and that we are holding people accountable, and we go after stolen loot, that money can be used as a basis for making the initial investments. So look, there are so many revenue streams. Let's come to the revenue side of things, for example, since you want to, let me expound on that. We've looked at different means, different ways in which we intend to generate revenue. Look, if we put a system in place in our country where we make sure that people can pay real estate taxes in our country, and we make sure that people pay property taxes, pay taxes on land, look, we can raise money from there. If the government put a system in place where we say, you know what, we will provide the surveyors. We tell the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Lands and Mines, for example, we want you to recruit young men coming out of the University of Lobbo. Give them the proper training. These young men, if you say, let's say my brother Sisu tell us, he said, Lobbo, if you say he has 20 acres of land in, let's just say Bento, for example, the government will provide surveyor, will survey that land. That land is coded. Even if we charge $5 on a piece of land. Look, we have to think outside the box.
So can I ask you a quick question on that, Mr. Lobbo? Are you pushing that the way you're going to fund the government is to tax the poor? So you're going to go to you're going to go to West Point and tax people, real estate taxes on mat, on zinc, on mat roundhouses and stuff. You're going to tax the poor in order to run the government?
Let me be very clear with you. Everywhere in the world, taxation is part of the means by which government raises revenue. But what smart government will do, we can't tax people who live in Zingra. We will be taxing because
Let
me finish. Our goal.
Wait. Lobbo says you will not tax people who live in Zingra.
No. Listen, our goal is to be smart, is to be methodical, is to be responsible in our approach to raise taxes. We have to listen. Our goal is to ensure that people are taken out of zinc houses to permanent structures that they can work towards acquiring assets. So I will say this again to you guys, to the panel, to my fellow panelists. Look, we have a broader base of ideas as to how we intend to go about it. My brother Sisu, look, let me say this to you.
Lobbo, let me go back. Let me hold you back there. Let me just hold you something there. That's what you talk about.
How you force us to
Are you saying that you go to tax people in houses?
Wait, let him ask the question. I want hearing. I want hearing.
No,
what is your question?
No, I got lost between there. My question is, are you saying that you people not going to tax people in zinc houses even though they have income?
Let me be very clear here, because I think when you use the word zinc houses and Sisu, I think you brought it. Look, the tax code will have to be fair and balanced across the board. And I will say this again. Our government will ensure that we do not create the condition that increase hardship on our people. We understand what taxation does. We know that indeed, if for a man who is making $200, if you start taxing them hard, then it makes it difficult for them. So our government will be responsible. But we just want to say to you,
Lobbo, don't keep me hard.
Again, George, I understand it. Okay, I hope you would have been countering. You would have been countering my points here with how you people intend to raise your $1 billion budget. But the fact that you're interested in outside the conversation, I love that. But I'll just say this to you: we have people, we have a lot of properties that we believe that people must pay taxes.
Let Dr. Toto come up with his own. Dr. Toto,
yeah.
Dr. Toto?
Yeah. Let me ask my question. When George was speaking, he was talking about internal revenue within the Unity Party that rendered some of their members to CDC that caused them to lose the election. But I want to take George to run the US, the Unity Party, USA. I want for you to come back to get a deputy answer on there's an internal struggle within the Unity Party, USA. There was a post on Facebook some time ago, and I was talking to that post about an exchange between you and my brother, Asumana within the Unity Party. They have the Samuel Widow group, the Musa Keita group, and the Kabadoya group. The internal regular have been going on. So within the Unity Party USA, how is it that? Is it resolved or is it affecting the progress of the Unity Party USA? Yeah. In fact, an invitation that was entered to me last about fundraiser program that he made there about
Now, why you don't carry money there for?
Asubana.
Yeah, plow. You want
So,
to give me the money?
Yeah, so I don't want to know how the party process there because it's a serious distraction. If people cannot work together, how do you encourage folk to work together like Liberia?
I do appreciate your concern for the Unity Party and the well-being of the structure here in the United States and Canada. But I just want to be very, very clear and bring some correction to the statements you made. However, there are no two groups. The Unity Party.
There's a struggle going on within the group.
I got your question very clear. Let me answer now. The Unity Party USA Canada has one leadership, and that leadership is headed by Capet Doyen. There was a convention that reaffirmed that leadership, and that leadership will stay in power to 2024. Now, I will say this to you, Dr. Toto. People will always. There are times in the Liberian society and in Liberian organizations, sometimes when people disagree with a leader, people tend to say things. But as far as I'm concerned, these things are very normal. We have a leadership that is focused. Even before I came on here today, I had a conversation with my chairman, Chairman Doyen, and our goal is we are focused on ensuring doing what we can do for the party. Now, don't get me wrong. I would not dismiss that there was a fundraiser held on the East Coast that Ansumana didn't chair. Having said that, I think you know why. Martin, you read a comment like you said. The Unity Party USA Canada has outlined as to what should happen and how it should happen. And we believe that everybody who is part of every organization should respect rules and policies being put in place by the institution. And I think many Nigerians struggle with those things. And as a result of that, so they may have decided that there was a need to do something outside that. But that in no way, shape, size, or form undermine the leadership of Capet Doyen. He remains our chairman, and he's the elected chairman and until 2024.
So I didn't want to get into this because Mr. Lobbo said we should wait till he come another time we can discuss this. But since they open that floodgate, what do you have to say about the coup d'etat that happened then against the chairman, Toto, when his vice president overthrew him and the old men were on the ground and there was a lot of machinations going on?
I would say this to you, my brother. I think there were attempts by people who overall, let me say this to you. Sometimes, I'm part of the leadership. There's a reason why, I'm not trying to say to give myself flowers here, but there's a reason why I deal with things differently. And my approach to things are a lot different than many people. And I think I'm very grateful for being a member of the YMCA at the very early age in 1997. And if there's anything that I learned from being part of the Hawaii and the YMCA was that understanding of what institution means and just understanding the chain of command. So again, yes, indeed, that did happen. But however, again, Capet Doyen remained the only elected chairman. And I've always said to people, look, one thing people need to understand, Sisu, one of the arguments, and many people will tell you, they say George support Capet. It's not that I support Capet, but I'm a strong believer that Capet will leave tomorrow. The institution will remain. The precedents we set today will take the institution down. And on the basis of that, and that is why you see I have not supported some of the things that others want to do. You don't have to like a leader. At my job where I go, my supervisor and myself, I'm pretty sure we don't have the same vision. But you know why? I show up to work every day and read my emails When she said, George, can you come over to my office? I go there and sit and talk to her. There are things that sometimes I want to, and I don't get my way. That's fine. That's the nature of chain of command. If I'm ever elevated one day, I should be able to do the same thing. And Liberians need to understand that you will never have your way all the time. And
Let me
people
ask you,
when they have connections to leaders and they give advice and it does not go their way, then they want to sway their other. So I am not that guy. And as far as I'm concerned, the institution will remain. George Lobbo will be gone tomorrow. Capel will go. But we must set precedents for the future. And that is where I stand.
So let me ask you, Mr. Lobbo. I mean, it's good we are having this sort of conversation. It's not a matter of planting like a pole to crucify people, but we need to get the minds of these people and how you guys came to the point of supporting the people. I did hear you calling the timeline that the vice president will be returning home very shortly. Was there any sort of engagement with the Liberian people during his recent visit, or will there be one before he leaves?
You know, I don't want to misinform the public. If that's something you want me to confirm, I will get back to you. But we must not forget the former vice president. He will be attending a fundraiser on the 9th in Philadelphia. Apart from that, when you speak in terms of engaging the Liberian people, maybe he may not
like a town hall meeting. So
I don't think with his scheduling, I don't think something is in the pipeline. However,
he plans a trip to come here, and we know election is ahead. If he's not meeting Liberian people, holding everything constant as it is, which of course is good that you don't want to do that, is that equivalent to us saying when George Weah comes here, he meets his sedition, and that's just all about it? The fundraiser is strictly about his foundation, right?
I think you'll be disingenuous and unfair.
Let me just finish that question. Let me ask a B to that question. You can just put one together.
No, before you do that, I want to let me address it first. This is you know.
I don't want to get out of it.
No. Let me finish with it. I'll take yours. I want to address it the way it came first.
Okay.
Let me say this, Mr. So I think that's unfair and that's wrong, and we should not do that, because you know what? The former vice president came to the United States, where he held town hall engagements in Philadelphia. He went to Minnesota and held town hall engagements. President George Weah have not done the same. George Lobbo, in Philadelphia, granted ANC, diehard ANC supporters, the right to ask questions of their choice. We didn't stop that. I granted people who I know to be seditious, fearless critics of the Unity Party, the right to ask
meetings, and we're open to everybody.
So again, I can't only speak for myself. You can speak for ANC when you're talking.
So George,
I will speak for myself.
So George,
let me take your question.
Yeah.
No.
My question is.
ANC is not
asking. Hold on 1 second. Let Dr. Toto finish with Dr. Toto.
Yeah, my question is the VP. What is the proper to the VP trip in America? Is it for medical or for administrative reason?
Administrative reason, plus he's going to be attending a fundraiser for the JMB Foundation. Massive fundraiser. And there were meetings scheduled. There have been some meetings he has been holding. But he's tight-lipped about a lot of things, and I think it's necessary.
Why is he tight-lipped? Do you know?
Why is he tight-lipped? It's just simple because
he knows that when he comes, I mean, let's be fair here. I don't intend to put you on the poll, but he's seeking for the higher office of the land. He has been the 4-month vice president, and we all are anxious. We all are anxious as to the decision-making process, to get the thoughts in mind. And like you said, okay, probably if he had done that it means he exceeds the mark, doing everything. But the fundraiser basically is about his foundation. I don't think so, meaning there'll be any political engagement, correct?
But we also have to understand the time was short. I personally, when I spoke to the former vice president, in as much as before he departed Monrovia, my expectation was that the trip would have been longer. But given the urgency on the ground, he has to return to Monrovia. So he said, yeah, George, it's not what you think. He said there were changes in plan before I left. I said, when this changed? He said, that's what it is, and I have to be on the ground. So again, we must understand the time he was out here for. He's cutting his trip short. He'll be leaving right after the program. Imagine fundraiser on the 9th, on the 10th, he's on his way back to Liberia. So maybe if there was more time, then would have made arrangement for other engagements. But unfortunately, the time is short, so he has to get prepared to go back.
Was that a strategic decision on the part of
George, how long he been here for?
The Omer Ralph.
And George, how long you been here for?
Where now? Oh, yeah. Oh.
No, that the Coca-Cola network giving him hard time so he can cast
Oh my goodness!
Oh, life.
This guy,
the Omer Ralph sometimes.
When he stir up trouble, then he go to a daughter. Oh, he come back, then he flip again.
Why you bet Janitor come back again?
Already, he tested me. He said, "My man, Joe Lobo, you're bringing. I will not get Joe Lobo no hat because my uncle here. I won't sell anything for my uncle. Then you bring Joe Lobo, then who can knock it together. But right now, I won't see anything. I saw this
investigating the 7K. They can't get no answer. So we come when you can't. We asking. So he until they find out money and know what happened in the internal investigation.
No, President, we have caught that case already. President, we have said the lie on his board name. The chief law enforcement officer said it already. President, we have said the lie. That case end. He said it already.
He has been, Mr. So he has been engaging Liberians at some worship centers. I know when I went with him in Delaware in particular, he spoke to the Liberians there at the church we went to. And I think you saw him again this gone weekend at another church. The president of the Republic of Liberia communicated to the country from his pulpit. So it's not
Are
a bad
there plans
thing.
for Ambassador Boyka to meet with Mr. Cummings, you think?
If there are plans for him to meet with Mr. Cummings, I do not speculate. But anything is possible.
Most likely.
Most likely they are talking. I know that for sure. And the lines of communication has been reestablished.
That's the question I want to ask your Lobo. Yeah. No, that's one of the questions I want to ask you guys. Even jotted down, I wanted to know what Mr. Cummings.
No, they are talking. You know? Yeah, they are.
Okay.
And the conversations are fruitful. One thing we've been very clear about is on our end is that we know that George Weah poses serious national danger to the future of the country. And I think Mr. Cummings and other people around him too understands it. And we hope other opposition leaders will understand that. And if we share that common understanding as one team, then I think whoever goes against George Weah, the issue of whether we are married or we were engaged doesn't matter at that particular point in time, because the ultimate goal will be getting rid of this danger that President Weah poses to the country.
We found on the president of the security of the state. The law is not being adhered to, the judicial assistant and all of that. The Chief Anthony, take us inside here, the Scarlington leadership or ministerial board. If Ambassador Boyka were to become president, what kind of Chief Justice, Police Commissioner do you think he would really have so that we will put to rest this sort of conversation?
You know, let me be very clear with you. Ambassador Boyka, one reason why many Liberians are gravitating towards his candidacy is based on his record. He's not just one of the finest statesmen for no reason. I think he has demonstrated beyond all levels that indeed he understands the everyday problem confronting the country. And he knows and understands the need for a system. Mr. So I would say this to you. Whether the police being partisan police, the EPS being partisan EPS officers, the institutions are now functioning like they should function. And in the absence of that, you can't really hold anyone accountable. That is why people don't leave governance to morality. There's a reason why laws are enacted. And there's a reason why people are held accountable by those laws. And I will say this to you, the former vice president, being that disciplinarian that I know him to be, I think Liberians can rest assured that we will not have a police director or a deputy police director who will show up to party headquarters and they flock him. That will not be the case. We will not have police officers that will be taking instruction from. But with the good thing about the Unity Party, I think Liberians can rest assured. The Unity Party led the country before, and they saw. During our time, the Liberian National Police was ranked one of the highest ever. I think ranked number 17 in West Africa for the level of professionalism they exhibited. So there's a history we can point at. We are not just going to be speaking because we want to talk. We've demonstrated in the past that our police can be professionals. We have one of the finest police directors. Look, there were reforms we instituted. I know some people will not agree with us, but the facts can never be questioned. We woke Liberia from the grave. My brother Zizu told me to leave the Bible, but every time I think about where we took Liberia from, it reminds me of the story of Jesus when he went to see his friend Lazarus. And they said, "Oh, Jesus, had you been here, your friend Lazarus would not die." The Bible says that's the only man that Jesus ever cried for.
Oh,
and
boy.
that is why the Liberian people said to us in 2006. And they are saying it now to us that, "Oh, UP."
The man went for the shortest Bible verse with Jesus wept. That the shortest one he went for.
Jesus wept. That's the shortest Bible verse. You know it. Jesus wept.
All right, look, George, thank you so much for chipping in. We hope to have this sort of conversation, not just only with Unity Party, but like here at this Friday. Maybe I'm not sure how your schedule. You see, Sisse, the guy, he's the blow and bite guy. Yeah. He's one of the person that will stir all trouble on this network. And then when he finish, then he say he going to attend to a dollar, then he come back, then he throw you on Amos Joy. But you know, Amos Joy, that what happened when you force it, you won't do it, everybody can throw you on you. That's why I love that. But we're gonna be having before we let you go to your closing argument, we intend to have these sort of national conversations with all of the top surrogates. I think it's healthy. I think we need to give a sense of direction to our people to allow them to be able to make informed decisions. This sort of political satire theater is too much. I mean, we shouldn't be distracted. I want to know how the ambassador going to do it differently. I want to know how Ellis Coleman can grow the economy. I want to know how Tiawan Gonglo on the other end will take approach to the education.
Before election, I think Tiawan will clean the entire country the way that we he's sweeping.
You see that?
They're taking all the data Ellen left there with no car.
We were to the Minister of Justice.
You're trying to make your ending now to be like a real turbulence now, like a plane is going. I told you the secret about this day and Dr. Toto here. Then you won't go that way. Yeah, there.
Come on, John. You want fire a final shot, then you say goodbye and go by the business.
Yeah.
That's the Israeli that we have. You go free.
So that we'll give our
on a serious note, I mean, it was a good.
Y'all let my niece ask me a question. Go ahead.
No. I mean, it's just for the fun. But John, let me ask you, man. How do you vision yourself if Ambassador Barker become president? What role will you play? I know you deflect again, so I know you. But
the same question I want to ask you. The question I want to ask you.
I know he would deflect it, so I was just asking.
Let me
let me just add a little bit later on it. And the reason Amon was asking
a diplomat. I know he can answer questions.
The town hall meeting, the conference in Philadelphia, when you see somebody whispering in a political figure here, more or less the protocol or within the proximity of that person. So you got to be honest with us. No political correctness here.
Oh no, Mr.
All of this is nothing. And you are competent to occupy, to face it, but you gotta be, you can't. Look, we need to do away with putting people in offices and then walk by. Oh, I'm just doing it for the Liberian people. You're not doing it for me. You something inside for you.
I'm just curious to know, and maybe the Liberian people are just asking, hey, role he would play vision now, Honorable Parker become president,
protocol
what do John Lobo look like? So when I go into the mine, so when I go into Liberia, I know I'm going to meet John Lobo, I'm going to meet this guy.
You all want to hook up with a big people, man. When I come here, I just call you a sense. I'm gonna SS2. I'm gonna go pick up my man. So that's it now.
You know, I'm extremely humble by the confidence and the trust that you all have imposed in me. Having said that, Mr. So, I think you all know me. Like Sisu would tell you, I drove from Brooklyn Park to his house and took dry rest for us to eat. That's what he said. The guy is a different guy. I know many people, politics in Liberia, there's always been about job, Mr. So. But let me go back to my days on Spoon, for example. You know, I've always heard people say that everybody in it is about job. And so I then said on Spoon, I said, I want all of us, the young people who support these politicians or political leaders, if we brought a commitment today that for the next 5 years, that we always sign, that will ensure that our candidate gets elected, but all of us will have nothing to do about jobs. I said, George Lobbo will be the first to sign. It went viral different. People took it differently. But let me say this to you, Pat George, for me and what I think. Look, and I want to say this to you. I say this with all fairness. I have no reason to lie to anybody. Whether I go to Liberia or not, if I took my phone and went to LinkedIn today, there will be 4 to 5 recruiters that will say, Mr. Lobo, I saw your resume. Based on your skill set, you can't do this job for me. Plus, here in America, I work. 12 years of UP, I never visited Liberia. There is no history, let me say this today, of any Unity Party government official, of George Lobo calling. I have friends, I have text messages with ministers in the UP government of me saying, my man, I want that scholarship from you. Or me collecting $5 Labrador for 12 years of my party in power. It's not about me. But let me say this. When it comes to Ambassador Boakai, here's where I come in. Look, it's embarrassing. Before I came on this show, Mr. So, I was talking to a friend of mine not too long ago. The guy wanted to go to Kenya. And then he said his brother is in Cape Town. And he was comparing the two countries. And he said, my man, George, what do you make of Kenya? And I was speaking to him about developments. Look, it breaks my heart. A young man like me who grew up in SKT, born at Phoebe. Every time nowadays I stop reading. Every time I read about other countries, that the country that I come from, it's not that the country is poor. We have the minerals. We have the resources to ensure that our people get better quality of living. But instead, our people, after 14 years of civil war, I know what it feels like to toll low. And I've been very clear with Ambassador Boakai. Ask him behind me. I told him there's no way you come to power and our people still live in those huts they live in before independence was declared. If there's nothing you accomplish for me, in every county, the people must see the difference. The people must live in real structure. And in those structure, they must work their way towards acquiring it as an asset for their future. We cannot have our people living in those houses again. So again, the people deserve good life. They all can come to America. And for me, that is my goal. And if there's anything I will do, wherever way possible, to ensuring that that is accomplished in Boakai's 6 years, that is my goal. That is all I wish for.
Well, I'm not sure whether he answered it. And this, you know, it's so sad dealing with politicians.
George.
Yeah. I can tell
George,
you.
you didn't answer that question.
Yeah, they want politicians.
I didn't answer the question because I didn't tell you I won't be Natana Magee.
No,
God. I tell you that, no, let me say that. I tell you that I care in ensuring that low-income housing, for example, is constructed in Nimba, in Ganta, or parts of Zienzu, in Bon County, in Tolotai. So that means
the baby the housing director.
I don't have to be hosting director.
No,
I just have to make sure that I can remind him of the everyday problems that our people are facing.
Part of that, all of these things here, we also want to make sure you don't be the person, and that's my view. We don't want to see people coming to sell people agenda, and they can't come us to tell her, look, I hope to see myself there, because when you sell the person agenda, you got to be there to also help support the person. Yeah. Don't cancel somebody to me and then you walk out and say, oh no, I'm going to be in America. Then no.
He taking special shot at me now, don't mind.
And also the thing is to what George is saying,
no,
if you
you say you could be a consultant or something, so you have made a position clear.
Well, I mean, I see anything wrong. I don't see anything wrong with people saying the government is your government. It's a proud to serve your country.
No, it is a proud, but
that's the whole thing. But anyway,
equally so you cannot make a definite statement also too. If the government get elected, the government call upon you to serve, then he can make that determination. But we just say they're speaking abstract, that I think that's the point George is trying to make.
But everybody who will work in the government will work at the will and the pleasure of the president, right? So the president will have the right to make that decision. Yeah, so again, let me tell you one thing, Mr. So. Look, everybody, if you give people the opportunity today to decide, and you ask them, who do you wish to be your dad? I'm pretty sure Bill Gates will inherit the half of the world. But that doesn't mean it will come true. I don't believe in all of that. I would just say this.
Well, I mean, no, why I see as I just doing it. I don't want to wait. Why would somebody don't want to wait for that?
No, I mean, look, I didn't say. I think I answered the question the best way possible.
I mean, that's John Lobbo they think that they think the metro in his at the same time asking you a question.
But all right, my man, Lobbo, thank you so much.
But this is the first time, because I'm about to go though. But this is the first time we've been on this show. Mr. So hasn't been telling us, "Gonna make your final statement. I gotta go to sleep now." Right, Mr. George? At this point, he would have took a long time to make our final statement. So, George Lobbo, these conversations have been very entertaining to the point that Mr. So has forgotten the time.
Mr. So, if never he say one more time, you can't get tired asking questions. Trust me, I know that guy. No, right now you think he has to ask all the questions on the bed. Your kids, I'll make myself. I'll always be here. I'll join you guys.
I will talk. I hope to talk to your USA.
You want Chairman Dwyer? I can make that.
Yeah, the last time I had an interview in when he was OLM, that almost 9.
All right, I will bring him as a Unity Party, USA, Canada, and hopefully he will. Mr. Chairman Toto will be here. We
want to know the role of these people here. You know, whether you're just talking here or you will go down. We need to know all of that.
Mr. So again, I just saw you will depart the
United States. What is your role now?
Oh,
George, what is your role now in the campaign?
What good day?
Papa should have been for SKT. Mr. Josh, you show you from St. Quentin?
I'm but let me say this, right?
It's kind of good to have George on the show tonight, you know. George has been one of the consistent guys that says I get to know him. You know, even before Joseph got king of power, he been very consistent in the Unity Party or something. So that's a very good thing, you know. That's a very good side of it. Or politically, to be consistent. So it's good to have the engagement here. The only concern I just have George Cos Abba said talk about it last time. He said that there's no way that the ANC or Unity Party can come together. Also, I think he said it on a particular show here too. But I think there's a need to be fair. Looking at we can sugarcoat, we can say what we want to say, but what I saw in Liberia, the few the people that turned up to get our support of President Weah is set a lesson for the opposition as an eye opener. I hope you guys look into it. Don't take it for a joke.
You know, to be honest, while it's true, I don't intend to boho in that argument. For the sake of time, we would have tested the sincerity of the people if there were not inducement being given to them. You keep people, you have not paid them for 2-3 months, and then you give them $20 to show up then you can't question the success of a rally based on that. If that is the case, anybody could have gone to the market and buy people. So again, I don't want to get into that. So what I want the government to do is the government that has done so well to just say, I call on the people because of the roads we've paved, the way we've improved the educational system.
You know what we want to do, Sissy? We're talking this thing behind the scene. I think we need to do an official letter to the election commission. This sort of crowd competition, who get crowd, who not get crowd, will make all of the 4 major political parties simultaneously. Different CDC take maybe Painesville area, Unity Party, Central Moroya, the other people send them to Puebla or Ganave and see. At the same time, let's start the same hour and ends the same hour and see who get a crowd. And see how they're going to transport people. If they are doing it, if.
Well, if crowds were anything, Robert, if crowds were anything to go by, Robert Salih would be senator right now. So for me, I don't.
If crowd was anything, I campaigned with Vani Shemo in 2005. Shemo would have won. If the amount of people that turned out to support you, rally, could vote for you like that, Vani Shemo would have been president.
So let me say my one tabata and my closing statement. My brother George Lobbo, welcome. The last time you were here, you and I didn't talk, but I too live in SKT. I live in Phoebe on the airstrip. I went to Phoebe Community School, so I know we have something there going on. I used to live with Mr. Koy and the people across yes. So, but having said that, my one thing I was hoping we're going to talk about today was going to be the letter from the U.S. Embassy about the mismanagement of funds, the government stuff, healthcare, and where the porcupine has gone. Apparently, everywhere the porcupine go, there's problem. The man in Monrovia, you were doing pay to play. The man go now, when Mark Gibby again, then we find out that there's another thing. The porcupine, we talking from the bush, we domesticate it, it's still creating problem. So we got to check to see if maybe we got to put another question. Having said that, though, it has been great having you guys on. And Mr. So, I still stand by my word. I am not yet at the age where I work for volunteer for free. I have a home here that I need to take care of. The Liberian government, if I have to live earnestly, will not be able to pay me enough money to take care of my mortgage here and live in Liberia. I don't want to go steal for Liberian people. So we putting together a group that will lead Liberia. I can stay right here and continue to do my work.
All right.
Wow.
Okay,
guys. So let me wrap it up before. I did know my brother says I'm the guest. I should be the one to leave before you all. You can't walk away. Yeah, don't do that to the guests.
Okay, I'll stay here.
I come to your program and I stay to the program and you're going. Gonna answer.
And Joe where they had their own program and they were living on the stadium there.
Now what happened when you pay people the post feed at the time you pay them for over?
Make your comment, buddy.
On a serious note, I just want to say thanks to my brother Sizu, my man, Mr. So, Pat Josh, and the Honorable Dr. my own big brother, my Ponkante big brother. Let me say this to all of you. Why it is true, we all might have our individuals that we support for whatever reason personal to us. At the end of the day, I think we all agree that George Weah is bad for the country. And I think that should be all of us focus. We can argue. Mr. Cummings wants to do it this way. Boaka wants to do it this way. Tiawan has his vision to do it this way. I think with Tiawan, you all know that the country will be clean because at the way he's sweeping now. So we get that. So again, I will say this.
I think that elected on a 450 vote.
No, Mr. No, but on a serious note, it was good
about the man bro. You get a man people then being nice to you, then you're talking about the bro.
But the man know the man.
But Lobbo, the guy, they same bro, he broke from
the men are against to net. Let Lobbo come back different day. All they shout you should will save them for the next time. Yeah, let Lobbo do anything.
I would say I think it was a good thing. I hope our people listening to us tonight, there was a lot to take away from here. And I've always said this, Mr. So. I think now I don't have to be. I think those of you who've listened to me everywhere I go, I've always said there's a reason why there are certain shows I will do everything possible to be there. Mr. So, you know how often I used to be here.
Yeah.
I'm always willing to be on here. And it's because of the nature of the conversation. Some people throw challenges, I don't take them. And I refer to those challenges as when a handicapped throw a challenge to fight me in the street, I can fight you. So the conversation we held tonight, I hope other platforms will learn from it. I hope other people will elevate the conversation. You know, we're all here, we're professionals, everybody take care of themselves. And the conversation is about the country. And that's what we should do. I went to my brother beautiful house there in Minnesota. It was all about the issues, where we disagree and how it's going to be done. Those are the conversations we should be having. And I hope we can elevate this because it is going to be important. All of us here, we have an obligation to our country. President George Weah put the country in reverse. He is in his studio recording songs. At the end of the day, our people's lives are at risk. And it is important that we do our part. History will judge us tomorrow for the decisions we've made as a nation. And all of us, I want to thank all of you for this level of commitment, because all of you here, some way, somehow, got in this country, one thing I love about this country, the bills never stop coming. So to be up here this late, doing what we do, I just want to say thanks to all of you for what you do for our country, and especially for those of you who take your time to read, who take your time to come here to educate. Some people have these 2-3 hour show, nothing of substance, nothing of substance. And that is why I'm very, very glad to join you guys. I hope that I can make it. At least I want to be coming. I see my own Bokade Babe, but the ANC baby, it seems like he got more to say. Even while I'm closing, I can tell from his lips that he still wants to say something. But I'll leave it there. I want to thank all of you guys. It's been a good time hanging out with you.
I said it. I say I'm not coming here. I tell you from my opening that, hey, I'm not coming here to kind of challenge all of this group doing this. The bigger picture here, the devil in the room there, that Mr. George Weah. And that was something when I see people talking some of the trash on Facebook, ANC or Unity Party, I just say, this is a crap that sometimes I hate to see. We got something that is bigger than we're looking at. The price.
Lobbo, that the conversation now will be kind of like neutralized, de-escalated with this ANC Unity Party sound by
sound. No, let me tell you, right? Just because of keeping things confident, Mr. So, I'll tell you there's Koto says Koto one kind.
That's what I brought you now.
Oh, says Koto get ANC phone too now and give me the same problem.
Oh my goodness!
I thought the richest party had a
I don't know what we'll use to sweep the office, because
when I Jonathan to like you get network issue. When I Joy get network issue. I don't know Lone Star network that people using or what they we know.
George Weah.
All right.
I'm trying to get out. I'm trying to get out right now.
Okay, guys. So thank you so much. And to our men and gentlemen, Lobbo, thank you so much for chipping in. And routinely we're going to get this going for the good for the country. That's all about it. You guys closer to those people. So there's a way. If we can't get to the big elephant, let's get to the.
By the way, he washes.
He can get an elephant. He can bring a porcupine.
He washes these things. He sees them.
That porcupine.
Let me tell you. He will tell me. Look at that other man when he asked you that question. Look at that other man when he said that. He watched all of this. He knows. He does. Yeah, he does. He knows.
Y'all go now. Mr. Lobbo, we'll meet again.
Definitely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Okay, folks, that does it this evening. That's the billing that has been heavily contested, and part of that is to have this conversation with these surrogates to us to hear from them as well. Well, to our many viewers, listeners, whatever you are, we say thank you so much for sharing your evening to your morning hour. your afternoon with us. Tomorrow we're going to be here, and then Friday evening we're going to have a special guest. Dr. Sam Kwan is the executive Friends of Councilor Tiawan Gonglo. Friends of Gonglo LPP USA opens up on LPR-TV Live. What are they supporting these people? What is their political peg? All of that, we're going to be having those sort of conversation to know exactly what they are, who they are, what they represent, and what they're going to be telling us here as well. Until then, we want to say is usually we are 10 o'clock, but we have gone over the hour, which is okay, 10:44 Eastern Standard Time. I am Afonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR-TV. We want to thank you so much for your time this evening, and have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.
Do you want to share your events with the world? Why not contact us? We are Liberia Public Radio, LPR. We are the specialists in advertisements, commercials, radio and TV services. We have the professionals that can help you sell your products and provide live coverage of all events, such as weddings, conventions, graduations, reunions, anniversaries, sports, birthdays, baby showers, religious activities, funerals, and many more. Take your phone right now and call any of the following numbers: 682-433-8802, 267-648-6089, 484-786-3337, or 916-533-2048. Our customer service representatives are waiting to take your calls and give you the needed assistance. It is LPR, the home of excellent media services, and your friends in business. Hello listeners, this is Mazola, the lover boy. I'd like to invite you to this exciting program. It is called Dancing for Jesus. It is intended to play beautiful inspirational music to help you turn your life to God. Join me on every Sunday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is our way of showing appreciation to God for the good things He has done for us and continue to do. Don't miss this opportunity. Join Mazola Gizi on every Sunday from 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the program Dancing for Jesus. Please be there because I will be here to rock it out for you.
Welcome to Fabric Queen of Woodland. Everyone that's looking for nice African for wedding, whatever fabric you need, you can just come over here. You have all this nice stuff. If you need ashebi, you guys can come over here for baby shower, for wedding. You guys are welcome. She have really nice stuff. You can see all over there, all those men over here. You don't have to go to the theater and then they're going to be telling you all kind of stories. You can just come here. They're already made. And for ladies, you can just look for whatever fabric you're looking for and match it for the men. And, your husband already have a shirt made. You can get stuff for your kids. You can get stuff for the whole family. We have African slippers and ashobi hand ties all over. We have different kinds of lists and everything. So you guys are welcome, okay? It's really nice. It's Fabric Queen on Woodland, 6695 off of Woodland. 6625 Woodland Avenue, okay? So you guys are welcome, 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 welcome. You have nice stuff here for ladies, for men, for kids, and for everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please. Fabric Queen of Philadelphia. Fabric Queen of Philadelphia is 100% African-owned business. At Fabric Queen, we are specialized in high quality wax product, Swiss lace, jewelry, and beauty products that will make you shine like the queen of fabrics. We are located at 6625 on Woodland Avenue, 10 Philadelphia. Telephone number 215-800-0228. Tell the management of Fabrics Queens in Philadelphia is easy and salt of the Liberia Public Radio gives you this message. Tell all Akwaba.